3 hits last night. He's in there. And so too is Rafael Palmeiro, who sat out at the beginning last night. Jay Buhner, 40 homers in the regular season. Ken Griffey Jr. They need to ignite the Mariners, who need a win. Last night, the big unit, Randy Johnson, was on the mound. Baltimore's left-handed sluggers began the game on the bench. But Davy Johnson's right-handed lineup came through. Mike Bordick, Chris Hoyles, and Geronimo Berroa provided the punch to knock Johnson out after just 5 innings. Last night's true pitching star, Baltimore's Mike Mussina, who struck out 9 in 7 dominant innings to lead the Orioles to a 1-game-to-0 lead in the series. Today, the Mariners must even the best-of-5 series. Welcome to the Kingdom, and the huge crowd is gathering, and they are making noise already. The place should be jumping today. Game 2 of the American League Division Series. The Orioles, who lead 1-0, and the Mariners. Hello, everyone. I'm John Middlemore at the Kingdom. Cal Ripken and the Orioles, and Junior, 56 home runs, Griffey and the Mariners.
Major League Baseball's Division Series on ESPN is brought to you by American Standard, built to a higher standard. And by Joe Ball, drink Coors Light.
The shortstop is number 3, Alex Rodriguez. Second base, number 28, Joey Hora. And first base, number 44.
The Mariners have taken the field. And the crowd already in full throat here. Promised to be a loud day. Davy Johnson's Orioles, they were hoping to take the crowd out of the ball game last night, and certainly they did, as they knocked out Randy Johnson early and built a huge early lead. Here's the Pepsi Orioles batting order. It'll be Brady Anderson in center field. Roberto Alomar in the starting lineup at second base. You see, Anderson has had great success against Moyer. B.J. Surhoff in left field. Eric Davis is in right field hitting cleanup. Rafael Palmeiro back in the starting lineup at first base. Cal Ripken, 3 hits last night at third. Harold Baines is the designated hitter. The Orioles have 5 left-handed hitters in their order against a left-hander. Lenny Webster, the catcher, and Mike Bordick is the shortstop hitting ninth. And on the mound for Seattle, the veteran lefty just had his best year at age 34. Jamie Moyer, he was 17 and 5. So Jamie Moyer ready to face Brady Anderson, Roberto Alomar, and B.J. Surhoff. And as you heard Kevin Kennedy's assessment of Jamie Moyer, he has some problems against left-handers. Davy Johnson has read those numbers, and so he has loaded the top of his batting order with left-handers. My partner today, Joe Morgan.
Good to be back with you, John. Let's look and have a good game today, hopefully.
Mike's all set.
Mike's set now. Jamie Moyer, the key for him today will be whether he can get his curveball over against these left-handers, because all of the left-handers have had some success against him, and he's going to have to find a way to get them out using the changeup and the curveball.
Brady Anderson, as he did last night, first ball swinging, and that's back out of play. Well, Brady, who had a record year last year for leading off games with home runs, and he has kind of the same philosophy that Ricky Henderson employed so successfully over the years. Next to go up there thinking home run right away in that very first pitch.
Well, the first pitch is a good pitch to hit, because the pitcher's just trying to throw a strike, trying to get ahead of you in the ball game.
There's a curveball, and that misses. 1 ball and 1 strike. The Mariners outfield is straight away. Infield shaded a bit toward right. That is foul. So the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes to Brady Anderson. And you know, this Baltimore club, I mean, they had a great season. And after their big win here last night, I mean, they're just filled with confidence right now.
I found out a lot about them personally last night, John. not only are they a veteran team, but they're a smart veteran team. You know, they struggled down the stretch, but they were able to turn it on and go back to playing good baseball last night.
He changed up on Brady Anderson, but missed too low. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And Brady told you in an interview that we ran prior to the ball game that Jamie Moyer likes to make you go down out of the strike zone.
Right.
And Brady refused to do it there. To shortstop, Alex Rodriguez. 1 away.
And let's take a look at the defense behind Jamie Moyer. Ken Griffey Jr., a Gold Glove winner. He probably will win his 8th this year. And Jay Buhner, one of the strongest arms in baseball in right field. 2 great assist men in the outfield. Plus, they run balls down very well.
And Roberto Kelly out there in left field, an addition late in the season from Minnesota. And he has excellent speed, a longtime center fielder. This is Roberto Alomar. There's Roberto Kelly. And he has hit real well since the Mariners picked him up, too. That's, I think, what they really had needed, Joe, is a little more hitting. Roberto Alomar, ordinarily a switch hitter, but with his injury problems, he has been exclusively batting left-handed.
And as we've seen, this could be a plus against Jamie Moyer because most of the left-handed hitters in the entire league hit him better than right-handed hitters do.
Alomar helped him out a little bit there. He got a fastball, but it was up out of the strike zone, and he found it into the upper deck. 2-1. He has never hit Moyer well as a right-handed hitter, so it may be the best for Alomar. That is Sorrento. Moyer covering. And Alomar, who is still nursing that groin injury, is an easy out. 2 men down.
Batting third, left fielder, number 17, B.J. Surhoff.
Now B.J. Surhoff. Well, Davy Johnson, I think, stunned a lot of people around the country when he kept some of his biggest hitters out of the lineup against Randy Johnson last night. And I know you talked about that last night, Joe, at length on NBC, but I mean, I know you also said that you admired the courage of his convictions.
You're right.
Of Davy Johnson to do that.
I didn't agree with him, but I admired the fact that he made up his mind that this was the best chance for his ball club to win, and he went out and did it. I mean, he said to me before the ball game yesterday, he says, my neck is out there on the line, but I'm willing to do that. And that tells me a lot about Davy as a man.
Well, today he has had the opposite approach.
Yes.
Every left-handed hitter that he's got on the club is in the lineup against the left-hander Jamie Moyer. 1 strike to Surhoff. On the outside corner.
The funny thing about yesterday's lineup, John, it wasn't tough. The toughest decision he had to make was on Surhoff, not Palmeiro. He said Surhoff was the one that he really wanted to leave in along with Brady Anderson, but he just decided he had to go the other way.
Palmeiro would be next. That's up the middle, and Palmeiro will bat. Or rather, Palmeiro's in the hole. Eric Davis is next.
Well, he got ahead of BJ, and then he made a pitch right in the middle of the plate. BJ, good hitter, hit it back through the middle. Not exactly where he wants this pitch. You can see right in the middle of the plate. And BJ hits it back up the middle with 2 strikes. Good approach with 2 strikes.
Eric Davis now. Eric putting off this week's chemotherapy treatment until tomorrow when the Orioles get back to Baltimore. Ordinarily, he's been having the chemotherapy every Wednesday. And that is in for a called strike. The changeup to Eric Davis. And you see this. I mean, this is part of the miracle of Eric Davis. He has come back. I mean, he missed virtually, what, 3.5 months, more than half the season. Came back incredibly strong, despite the battle against cancer. 1 ball and 1 strike. He got a big hit here last night against Randy Johnson after falling behind 0-2. The infield had been pulled in, and he chopped one right over the head of the third baseman for a 2-run single.
Moyer kind of plays into Davis's hands, though, in that he keeps everything down, and Davis, his weakness is the high fastball, but if you have a good changeup like Moyer has, you can fool the best of hitters even if you get it down. And you can see he swings at the motion and not the ball.
So with 2 strikes, the decibel level rises here in the Kingdom. Palmeiro would be next. Surhoff at first. And he struck him out. One hit, one left for Baltimore. The Mariners are coming up. Griffey due up third when we come back. And 7 for the year.
And Erickson, his strength is his sinker ball. Throws a sinker and a changeup. He's added that to his repertoire, and he has a good slider. Sinker, slider, change. Those are the basic pitches that he throws in the ball game. You see he's been very successful. This year is 16-7 record.
The best year that he's had since very early in his career, really his first full season. The only better year that he's had than this year. Joey Cora, and a slider on the first pitch in there for a strike.
Well, he watched Brady Anderson go for the pump. He thought maybe Joey Cora might do the same thing. So he starts him off with a breaking ball.
And another one in the dirt. It is 2-0. Well, you know, Cora doesn't look like a guy who's liable to hit one, but in this ballpark in particular, with that real shallow right field, he hit 11 home runs this year. But now he's behind him 2-0. Cora I beg your pardon, it is 1 ball and 1 strike. Cora hit 300 for the season. Alomar has no play.
And that's one of the problems that I think Erickson will face today, because he is a sinker ball pitcher on this AstroTurf. There will probably be a couple of more AstroTurf hits before the day is over. And let's take a look at the defense that's going to come into play a lot today. Lenny Webster's behind the plate. Hoyles caught last night, but Webster's actually Erickson's normal catcher anyway, so nothing changes there, even though Chris Hoyles is available if need be late in the ballgame.
Yeah, Hoyles got hit in the head last night, opening up a gash, but he seems to be fine. He had a headache last night. Did not need any stitches to close the wound. So he's available if needed. But Webster's in there as is par for the course for the Orioles when Erickson is on the mound, just like in our Atlanta series. We had both Darryl Kyle and Greg Maddux working with their, in effect, personal catchers in game 1 of that series.
Look for the Mariners to do something, especially if they get the count in their favor for a hit-and-run situation.
Roberto Kelly, the hitter. A slider. And that is a strike. The plate umpire is Dale Ford today, veteran American League umpire. And he's giving Erickson that low pitch, Joe, at least right now.
And if Erickson can throw the breaking ball for a strike, that keeps the hitters off balance, keeps them from sitting on his sinker. But by the same token, if he starts to miss with that breaking ball, then it will give them more opportunity to sit on the sinker.
Ken Griffey Jr. on deck. Cora at first. Deep right center field. Davis back to the wall. Off the top of the wall. Cora will be held at third. A double for Kelly. And a wild throw to the plate. But Cora will still be held at third. He had already stopped. The Orioles with some very poor communication out there. Cora had already stopped before the throw was ever made.
Well, the one thing I find interesting here is that ball was hit right away. I knew that ball was an extra base hit. Maybe Cora couldn't see that right away because he should have been able to score on that play. We'll take a look. Another breaking ball. See, that's a slider that hangs a little bit different than the first pitch he threw. This one is way up off the wall. No chance for the outfielder to catch it, so I felt like he should have been able to score if he was running all the way. But he holds at third base. Now watch the throw from Alomar is over everybody's head, but a great job of backing up here by Erickson. You see he comes back to get the ball even though he wasn't in perfect position. The ball bounced back to him.
And you saw where Cora was there. He was standing on third base. So Cora to third and Kelly to second, and here is the man who hit 56 home runs in the regular year and who has hit very well against Erickson. No no score in the game. The infield is back normal depth, and that sinker misses low. And he's really kind of gotten himself into some early trouble throwing all of those sliders, Joe.
Yes, that's the point I made when he was throwing it for a strike. That's okay. But the slider could get you in more trouble here than the sinker.
That'll get a run home, and Palmeiro can't handle it. Alomar does. Out at first. Erickson gets the put out. Kelly takes third. It is 1-0 Seattle, an RBI for Griffey.
But that's what you call more than just an RBI, John. That's a very productive out in that he drove in the run by pulling the ball to the right side. He also moves Roberto Kelly over to third base with less than 2 outs. So many times hitters will not do this in this situation. Good ball, good job of pulling the ball by Griffey, and a great play there by Alomar. Look at that. I mean, he just never slows up, picks it up, flips it underhand. Good job by Erickson to get over there, but Jr. got the job done. He's not happy he didn't get a base hit, but he drove in a run. He puts another in the easy scoring position.
Well, his dad would have been proud, and his dad is here. Ken Griffey Sr. Here's Edgar Martinez. That'll get run number 2 home. Bordick, nice pickup. Throws him out. But that run scores because Griffey hit that ground ball to get Kelly to third. Just what you're talking about, Joe.
That's a lot of times little things in the ball game mean more than the big things. If Griffey would have hit a ground ball at shortstop, say, he would have driven in the run, but the runner, Kelly, would have still been at second base, and he would still be there now. So good job there by the Mariners of moving the runners along.
So a much different start to this game than last night's game. Immediately the Mariners start spraying the ball around against Scott Erickson, and then the Mariners play that little ball game, not the long ball game that they're famous for, and they lead 2-0. Here's Alex Rodriguez. That one just missing on the outside. 1 ball and no strikes.
John, it was also interesting last night. Lou Piniella played the infield in with no one out. Davey Johnson feels like his team, I guess, is going to score some runs, so he does not play the infield in there with 1 out, and lets them score a run. Although if the infield would have been in there, I think Martinez's ball would have gone through for a base hit.
Real risky to do anything that might allow the Mariners to get a big inning in this ballpark. That's a fair ball, and he is out. So Rodriguez thought that was a foul ball. He didn't run, and Lenny Webster tags him out. 2-0 Seattle. Palmeiro, Ripken, and Baines coming up. Rafael Palmeiro leads it off against Jamie Moyer. Here we go to the second. He starts him with a curveball, and it is 0-1.
John, Rafael had a lot of problems with left-handed pitching this year, and that's the reason there. He did not hit the breaking ball as well this year as he had in past years, and that's why his average is down against left-handers, and he has struggled a lot lately.
And he taps that one foul. It is 0-2. Palmeiro has always been a guy who's hit home runs, but also has kept his average right around 300 or above, and he's taken a lot of pride in that. But this year, in large part because he did not hit the lefties at all, about 213 for the year, his overall average only 256, but the power was there. 38 home runs. 2 strikes to count. Did he swing? No. Third base umpire Dave Phillips on the appeal, ruling in favor of Palmeiro.
This is the reason, though. You're ahead of him in the count, but you also know if you make a mistake, he can hit the ball out of the ballpark, and that's why he's always a threat. And that's why I felt like he should have been playing last night. But he's always a threat.
The changeup for the strikeout.
And that's what Kevin Kennedy was talking about in the open. He said that Jamie Moyer needed to use his changeup more, but the point is he spots it so well. You start that changeup inside, and you think it's a fastball, so you have to be quick, and that's why Palmeiro jumped out there and was very early on the changeup.
Now Cal Ripken, and there had been so much written about Cal's back problems, whether or not he should sit out so that he'd be ready for the postseason, so on and so forth. Cal saying that he would be ready. The back was getting better. But what happens the first postseason game? The man with a bad back who should have been resting, he went 3 for 5.
Well, he definitely was zeroed in on Randy Johnson pretty well last night. All of his hits were to the right side. He got a single off of Johnson his first time up. Then he had an infield hit, and then he grounded another ball to the right of second base. There you get a look at Randy Johnson. he was just not the Randy Johnson that we've grown to know and love, so to speak, if you're a Mariner fan in the last few years.
When you say know and love, you weren't talking about Larry Walker or Rafael Palmeiro. He wasn't the Randy Johnson that so many of these hitters have grown to hate.
Well, he struck out 3 batters. 2 of those came in the first inning.
So now the Mariners trying to, in effect, pick up their ace, Randy Johnson, get a win today before they head to Baltimore. 0-2 to Cal Ripken. It is 1-2. Cal 5 hits in 22 career at bats against his former teammate. When Davey Johnson took over as manager of the Orioles, the decision was made to release Jamie Moyer. There's Griffey in center. Easy play. 2 down. Kevin Kennedy, who used to manage Jamie Moyer in Boston, has some comments. Kevin?
John, in the first inning, Jamie Moyer planted a seed early on Brady Anderson. He threw a 1-2 changeup to get him off balance and get him out front. Here it is. This sets up the next pitch, which is a 2-2 cutter on the outside corner and a weak ground ball to shortstop. Now the third hitter of the ball game, B.J. Surhoff, he gets beat on an 0-2 fastball.
All right, Kevin, and points well made there.
And he also struck Palmeiro out this inning with the changeup.
Now Harold Baines, another lefty. He's the 5th left-handed hitter among the first 7 Baltimore batters against Jamie Moyer. So far, 1 hit by a lefty. That was B.J. Surhoff. That's been the only hit of the game for the Orioles. 2-0 Mariners in the second. Deep to left field. Kelly is going back at the wall. This one is gone. A home run to the opposite field, as he's done so many times in so many ballparks over the years. And Harold Baines, back with the Orioles, acquired in late July from the Chicago White Sox, and he strikes here against the left-hander. 2-1 Seattle.
Well, Davey Johnson is pulling all the right buttons and making them work so far. I mean, he put Baines in there. No one actually expected Baines to start today, but he did. And here's a fastball out over the plate, and you're right. Baines goes the other way. If you pitch him away, he goes the other way. Roberto Kelly tries to get up there, but that was a little too far. And maybe the only reason Baines is in there is because Hoyles is hurt, and he couldn't DH.
Yeah, although Davey Johnson says Hoyles is available if needed. And one other thing, they have a little bit of a problem if they play both catchers at the same time. As the ball is hit into left by Webster, but he got it off the end of the bat. So he didn't miss launching that one by much. The Orioles get 1 run right back. Jay Buhner coming up. 2-1 Seattle. And the Yankees came from behind and won the first game of their series. The Yankees will play tonight, by the way, against Cleveland. Game 2 at Yankee Stadium. That game will be seen at 8 Eastern on Fox. Here is Jay Buhner. Another 40 home run season. He became the 15th man ever to have 3 consecutive years of 40 homers or more. Scott Erickson on the mound. And that's a called strike. Another slider to start an inning here from Erickson, who Joe only threw 11 pitches in that first inning, even though they put 2 runs on the board against him. Deep in the hole now. Long throw for Bordick. Here it is. Right there. Nice play. Buhner down, and now Paul Sorrento is coming up. And Joe, I'm wondering if also, when we start talking pitch counts, Jamie Moyer is a guy who has a history of once he's up around 90 to 100 pitches, they start to look for a spot to get him out of the game. He has thrown 28 pitches the first 2 innings, but that's especially a big story in this series because the great strength in the Baltimore bullpen and the suspect nature of the Seattle bullpen this year. The Orioles can stay close against Moyer early. As Sorrento gets a base hit to center field, this game could get decided in the 2 bullpens.
Well, the one thing Lou Piniella talked to me about yesterday, John, is that he's very comfortable with his bullpen now. He feels like these guys can raise it up a notch because they're veteran pitchers. Charlton, Slocum, you know, Timlin and Spoljork, he feels like they can raise it up a notch to be able to put it away. But the guy that he says to watch for is Ayala. He's been throwing very well.
Well, he really came on strong the last part of the season after struggling earlier in the year. Here's Dan Wilson, the outstanding Seattle catcher. Great receiver, strong arm, but also he has hit well. And a fastball in there for a called strike from Erickson.
And Dan Wilson is a guy that he likes to hit and run with. He will hit and run with Dan Wilson because he figures he can put the ball in play. Dan takes a shot to right field a lot of times.
There's a big hole in the right side there. Palmeiro on the bag. Holding against Sorrento, and Alomar shaded toward the middle in double play deck. Sinker dropping low. 1 ball and 1 strike to Wilson.
My belief is that when you have a good sinker ball pitcher like Erickson is, and you let your runner stay at first base, play it straight up, he's going to get in trouble because he will get the ground ball for his infield to turn.
Yeah, Erickson induced 33 ground ball double plays this year. And for instance, by comparison, Jamie Moyer induced 12. So most of the time, when you hit the ball against Erickson, you hit it on the ground.
Right. So that's why when you need to do things like hit and run, send some runners. He also balked just before that pitch. He started because they wanted him to throw to first base. He stopped.
So he got away with it.
Yes, we'll have to watch him. What happened is he was getting his sign, and he thought he was going to get a sinker, and Webster pointed to first base. They gave him that thumb, and that tells him to throw to first base, and he stopped. He didn't make a real pronounced movement, but he did make a move toward his stretch.
Ray Miller will usually make those calls from the Orioles dugout. That's too low with a curveball. It is 2-2 now to Dan Wilson. Ray Miller, the Rabbit, the former Orioles pitching coach when Earl Weaver was manager. He went off, managed himself, and became Jim Leyland's pitching coach in Pittsburgh for many years. And then back to Baltimore. Ironically, before he was about to sign with the Mariners, that's when the Orioles got him. And down on strikes is Wilson. Dan Wilson, by the way, is now 2 for 37 in postseason play. His success with the bat in the regular season has not translated into similar success in October as of yet.
And one of the reasons for that, John, I think he is worn down by the time you get to the end. He catches a lot of games. He's under a lot of pressure. And I feel like that he tires toward the end of the season, which is only natural for a catcher.
Now Andy Sheets. And the slider is in there for a called strike. It is 0-1.
A lot of breaking balls early from Erickson. Maybe he just wants to put in their mind that he will throw something other than the sinker. But those hanging breaking balls will go a long way, go a lot farther than a good sinker.
0-1 the count to Andy Sheets. 2 down, Sorrento at first. And there's a real slow one. And he fouled it. 0-2 the count. Well, you know, in the past, Erickson has often been at odds with his managers and pitching coaches because he would throw that sinker almost exclusively, just occasionally mixing in a hard slider. But now Ray Miller has, I guess, won over Scott Erickson because he's throwing not only a slider but a curveball and even an occasional changeup.
And he has a good changeup.
At first base, Paul Sorrento. He's back to the bag there. Palmeiro remains on first with him. 2-1. Seattle leading in the last of the second. Andy Sheets in there in place of the injured Russ Davis. Still not able to play. He missed the last 7 weeks of the season with a bad ankle. That is right on the outside corner. After all of those breaking balls, a 93-mile-an-hour heater. 1 man left. We head to the 3rd inning. Mike Bordick, Brady Anderson, and Roberto Alomar coming up. 2-1 Seattle.
ESPN's presentation of the Major League Baseball Division Series is brought to you by the Delta Faucet Company. Delta, the faucet.
As Here's the look from the dome. We are indoors in Seattle. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan. 2-1 Seattle. Third inning. Mike Bordick, the ninth place hitter. First ball swinging against Jamie Moyer. And he bloops one foul into the second deck off to the right. One of the early turning points in that game last night, Joe, I would guess would be the at-bat Mike Bordick had against Randy Johnson. He fell behind him 0-2. And then Randy could not put him away.
No, you're right. And that was really the telltale sign of Randy Johnson. He could not get him away. He had Bordick swinging at high fastballs, and he was still able to foul them off. And then he made contact. But I agree with you. That really set the tone for the remainder of the game.
Bordick only hit .236 in the regular season. Moyer just off the outside. 2-1. Randy Johnson. Now the Orioles had reports that Randy was a little erratic and not the Randy Johnson of old. That's what they were hearing from their scouts before last night. Joey Cora. One away. Bordick is gone.
Well, that's kind of contradictory to what Lou Piniella told me before the game. He said, you know, he pitched well at the time in his last start, and then on Saturday he pitched 2 innings to get his 20th win. He said he went out there and just put 6 guys away just like nothing, you know, real quickly. And so he said that he felt like he was on his game. But, I mean, I guess he would not give you any doom forecast if he felt the other way anyway. But Lou was pretty open about it. I mean, in fact, he was real happy and seemed very pleased that that was going to happen last night, and Randy was going to dominate the Orioles.
Well, I'm sure Lou felt that way. There's a curveball to Brady Anderson, swung on and missed. But, Joe, if I were you, I wouldn't buy a used car from Lou.
After last night, you might be right.
2-1 Seattle. We're in the third inning. We start the second time through the Baltimore order now for Jamie Moyer. The first time through, the lefties went 2 for 5 against him. The right-handers have been shut down. And that is strike 2 on the outside. Brady grounded a short his first time. He's had much success against Moyer in the past. Popped up, way up there. Coming down is Sorrento, looking up against that gray dome, and Anderson is out, number 2. Sometimes the ball gets up there against that dome, and the ball and the dome have a very similar color to them.
Well, he made some excellent pitches there on Brady Anderson, but he did not have a lot of margin for error. The 0-2 pitch, he came inside with a fastball, but if he misses 6 inches more over the plate, Brady would have hit that ball out of the ballpark. So he just barely escaped there.
Here is Roberto Alomar. He grounded out to first his first time, and that is low for ball 1. 2-1 Seattle leading in the third. Alomar, I mean, this has been the most difficult season really that he's ever had physically.
And he's had the highest batting average he's ever had. He went 35 for his last 70 to raise his average up to the 333 mark. He had never hit, you know, he hit 300 6 straight years, but this is the highest mark he's ever had.
I mean, and 35 for 70, that'll help.
That will help. Because he actually, I think he was hitting like 290 or 288 when he started the streak. And I mean, he just went straight up the ladder.
But he only, on the other hand, played in 112 games and only 412 at bats. And of course, he prides himself on playing every day. He loves to play.
Well, he got out to a poor start health-wise, you know, with the ankle injury in spring training, and then that, you know, turned into other injuries, and he just had a very injury-filled season. But he still put up some pretty good numbers.
Shoulder problems and the groin problem. And now he's only a left-handed batter all the way. 2-2, 2 down, nobody on. Surhoff would be next. A little bit low on the outside.
But John, throughout his career, he's actually always been a much better left-handed hitter anyway. You know, because he's just a better hitter from the left side than he was the right side.
That's a good point. I mean, some of his best years, he only hit 220, 230 right-handed. Right back to Moyer. And the inning is over. 3 up and 3 down. The top of the order coming for Seattle. Cora, Kelly, and Griffey. Down as we go to the last of the third inning. Scott Erickson to face Joey Cora, Roberto Kelly, the two guys who got him in trouble in that first inning. Cora singled and Kelly doubled, and that started a 2-run rally. And a fastball is a called strike. It is 0-1 to Cora. Joey Cora. I mean, what a success story. He came here because the White Sox let him go. And he's hit .297, .291, and .300 in his 3 years in Seattle. And he's become a real favorite here. I mean, he's played on the best teams the Mariners have ever had. And they love his fighting spirit, the intensity with which he plays. Here's a sharp breaking ball. And the third base umpire on the appeal, Dave Phillips, ruling in favor of Cora.
Cora's a very underrated player, John. And part of the reason for that is if you don't come into the league with a bang, people have a tendency to forget about you. But as you mentioned, he's improved every year.
Brady Anderson, one away. So this time Cora kept off the base paths, and now Roberto Kelly.
Left fielder, number 10, Roberto Kelly.
Roberto Kelly now with his 7th major league team. I mean, this was a guy that at one time coming through the Yankee farm system was considered an untouchable. Everybody wanted to trade for him, and in fact Lou Piniella was one of the guys who wouldn't trade him. And then Kelly came up with the Yankees and never reached the promise that they had hoped. And now he is becoming very well traveled.
Well, the Orioles have decided they want to throw him a lot of breaking balls. He hit a breaking ball off the wall, and they start him off with another one this time at bat. And last night, Mussina did the same thing, and he hit the ball off the wall right center off of a breaking ball.
Well, Roberto Kelly seems to like the atmosphere inside at the Kingdom. He's hit .298 since coming here.
Good pitch. It's that good sinker that Erickson throws, and you could even on television see the movement on that pitch. I mean, this pitch here starts up right there, and then it just sinks right under the bat of Roberto Kelly. And it was 93 miles an hour.
Yeah, that helps. 1-2 the count. And Roberto Alomar throws out Kelly. 2 down, and now Ken Griffey Jr. will come to the plate. This time with 2 down and nobody out.
Griffey Jr.
Griffey, who had 56 home runs this year, and he actually eclipsed Mickey Mantle with the 56 homers in that. He now becomes the guy who had the most home runs in a season without leading the majors. And there's ball 1. And of course, Ken Griffey Sr. is here as well.
It's one of my teammates with the
old,
Big Red Machine.
Big Red Machine, yeah.
His mom, Birdie, is also in that box. That's where Ken Jr.'s family is. That was his son on the left, and there's his wife.
Son Trey. The Trey? Yeah.
You say so.
Talking to Grandpa there.
Yeah.
Grandpa Sr. 2-0 the count. And 3-0. Griffey is 27 years of age, and he has 41 homers more at age 27 than Henry Aaron had at that age, even though he's had some injury problems for a couple of years. So that is truly remarkable. 3-0 the count. 2 down, nobody on. High and foul. To left field line. So he went ahead on 3-0. Nixon wisely keeping the ball away from him.
Well, 3-0, 2 outs. There's nothing to do but let him take a shot at it. And you can see Webster move way to the outside. What they want to do is try to throw Griffey down and away. If you get the ball up and away, he will hit it that way and hit it out of the ballpark to left field. See Webster seeing if he was peeking.
And ball 4 to Griffey. Well, you pitch around Griffey, and that's not a bad idea, except the man on deck is one of the great hitters in the game today, and a 2-time American League batting champion, Edgar Martinez.
Well, that's one of the reasons that Griffey was very successful this year, John. Martinez behind him protected him very well. If you don't have protection around a guy hitting 50 home runs, they're just going to walk him all the time. And Martinez makes you think twice before you pitch around Griffey in every at bat.
Yeah. Well, hey, ask Barry Bonds about it. He walked 144 times this year for the Giants. Although, as Griffey is back, Jeff Kent made a lot of pitchers pay for that.
Right.
He had 121 RBIs.
Griffey's a little more of a free swinger than Barry is anyway, but so he's not ever going to walk any total, the same number of times Barry does.
Griffey back to the bag at first. Griffey has excellent speed, but he has never been much of a base stealer. He stole 15 times this year. I mean, with Edgar Martinez up there, is there a chance he might run here with 2 down?
Yes, if he gets a good jump. Again, they want to be aggressive.
Didn't often run, but he has picked his spots well the last couple of years, as you saw there. A strike to Edgar Martinez. Now, one thing, Erickson, not so much this year as last year, was a prime target for base stealers. I mean, he had a very slow delivery to the plate and not very adept at holding base stealers on. Ray Miller has helped him in that part of the game this year. Griffey had to dive back to the bag that time. Edgar Martinez got a ground ball to short for an RBI his first time. There's Ray Miller. Second baseman Alomar way over toward the middle. Huge hole on the right side of the infield here. Palmero on the bag. There you see it. Griffey is running. Webster's throw. Not nearly in time.
That was a great jump. And he was running actually before Erickson went to the plate. I mean, that's what you call a perfect jump there. Webster had no chance. Watch how he accelerates. I mean, he really accelerated very well to start there. You steal a base in your first 3 or 4 steps, and Griffey was really accelerated from first base there.
Well, now he is in scoring position, and Edgar Martinez with a base hit could add a run to the Mariners total. They lead the game 2-1. Right to Ripken. Cal slings it over there to retire Edgar Martinez and the Mariners. Griffey is stranded. 2-1 Seattle. Surhoff, Davis, and Palmero coming up. I'm John Miller with Joe Morgan and Kevin Kennedy, who is in the spotlight. And we'll be looking at certain aspects of this ball game today. Jamie Moyer on the mound for the Seattle Mariners. Here is B.J. Surhoff to stand in, the cleanup man, or the, let's see, the third place hitter for Baltimore, and then the cleanup man, Eric Davis, will follow against Jamie Moyer. Moyer, who, his wife Karen, became parents again for the 4th time. On Sunday, wife Karen gave birth to the couple's 4th child. Duffy, Margaret, Joan. And there's Karen. So, looks like she is prepared there, Joe, for a youngster. She is dressed to handle any and all things that might arise. And of course, Jamie Moyer is the son-in-law of Digger Phelps. Karen, the daughter of Digger Phelps.
Who's Digger? Who's that?
Well, it's some other sport.
Oh, okay.
2-1 the count to B.J. Surhoff. And he's got his second base hit. Let's go down to Kevin Kennedy now.
John, here's how much confidence Jamie Moyer has in his changeup to end the 3rd inning. Robbie Alomar, 2-0 count. He throws 4 in a row. 2-1. Now the count goes to 2-2 with a changeup. Now to 3-2, another change, but he comes right back with a 3-2 changeup again, 4 in a row.
Yeah, well, if it works, I guess.
Well, if that's his best pitch, which it has been, as good, you have to go ahead and throw it. And there you see the numbers. It's true to form. Left-hander still hitting him well.
And Eric Davis struck out on a couple of changeups the last time he was up there. Surhoff gets back to the bag.
John, I was watching him, and actually I have another theory about why he has problems with left-handed hitters. And I'll explain that to you when we get a break here.
And that is called a strike to Eric Davis.
He stands on the extreme 3rd base side of the rubber, like Tom Glavine. That's okay for right-handed hitters because he can get that ball on the outside corner. But he's having trouble getting the ball away from the left-handed hitter. And all the pitches we've seen, he has not been able to get the ball out away from him where he wants it.
To the inside. Strike 2 to Eric Davis.
And he tried that with B.J. Surhoff the first time up. He got 0-2, and he hung a curve in the middle. This time up, he does the same thing with him and hangs a breaking ball on the inside. But he's able to move the ball around against right-handers, but not as well against left-handers. And I think it's his position on the mound, but that's why they do it, so they can handle the right-handed hitters who are going to face them more than left-handed hitters.
Davis to the right side. That Cora was way over in the middle. He's got a tough play. Out at first base. What a play by Joey Cora. Surhoff over to second. He was way up the middle and had a long, long way to go. And then, Joe, I mean, you made that play many times. That is a tough play.
That's a very difficult play because a slow hit ball on AstroTurf, if you're deep, it runs away from you. And the ball continues to run away from him. He takes this angle, and he can't get to it. Instead of, you got to cut the angle off. But he makes a great play there, and he's able to get Eric Davis at first base.
So one down. Surhoff now at second. Here is Rafael Palmeiro. Palmeiro struck out his first time. Strike on the outside. Now Palmeiro has not had as much success as some of the other lefties against Jamie Moyer, even though he knows him very well. They played in the minor leagues together. They were both in the Cubs farm system. Played together on the Cubs for a while. They were also teammates with the Texas Rangers for a while, and then again with the Baltimore Orioles. They were teammates. One strike to count to Palmeiro. This time just missing on the outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Palmeiro, a strikeout victim in the second inning. Now you see his numbers against Moyer. 1 homer and 20 at-bats. 2-1. Seattle holding a very narrow lead. We're in the 4th. 2 balls and a strike. A base hit here could tie the ball game. And I mean, here this Kingdom crowd, just how tense they are right now.
And they should be, John, because a 2-1 lead against the Orioles is really not a lot, and especially with a guy like Moyer, who is not going to pitch a complete game. Even if he shuts them down for 2 or 3 more innings, they realize that, you know, that if they stay close, they're going to have a chance.
2-1 the count. Check swing and an accidental foul. 2-2 now.
He struck Palmeiro out with a changeup his first time up. Let's see what he does here in the 2-2 count.
Is it risky to throw another changeup to him in this spot?
No, I don't think so, because he's thrown him enough breaking balls and fastballs to keep him honest. If he had a good sharp breaking ball, but again, the angle he's throwing from, it's hard for him to get that breaking ball where it starts off on the outside part of the plate and breaks away. Just think back, we haven't seen him be able to do that, where you get left-handers to chase that pitch off the outside corner.
Surhoff the possible tying run at second. And he just missed with that one. This time Palmeiro took the pitch, the changeup. 3-2.
And there you see another off-speed pitch, changeup away, but that one's down.
3-2. Palmeiro, the leading RBI man for the Orioles. Up the first base side. Sorrento. Moyer covering. Easy out. Surhoff to third. Got him with another off-speed pitch.
You're right. Joey Cora made a fine play to keep this game in perspective. But when you're this deep, you have to come at a different angle. You can't run away from it. We'll try to show you a little later. See, he's running away from it. See where he's going? You have to try to cut the ball off on AstroTurf. And that's one of the problems that AstroTurf forces you to do something different. Your first step normally is to go backwards. But in this case, on AstroTurf, you have to cut across.
Two down now, and here's Cal Ripken. B.J. Surhoff over at third base. Ripken, who had 3 hits last night. I mean, and this place is just incredibly quiet now.
Yeah.
I mean, there are 58, 59,000 people in here.
John, they're not comfortable with this 2-1 lead. And they're not, I don't think they're comfortable with the fact that their offense is not creating opportunities and doing things like they've done all season long.
2-1 Seattle. 2 down. And the changeup to Cal is low. 1 ball and no strikes. And again, Cal has not had success with Moyer in the past. Moyer making Cal wait. And again, Cal in there waiting. There's Surhoff with his lead from third base. He led off the inning with a single. It is 2-0. You've got a left-handed hitter on deck, but a left-handed hitter who homered against Moyer his first time. There he is, Harold Baines.
But you're in a situation, if you're Jamie Moyer, you still can't give in. You've got the tying run at third base. You have to still make quality pitches to Ripken. And if you don't get him out, then you do the same thing to Baines. Another changeup, and that's what he has to do. I mean, he's just barely missed with that 2-0 changeup, but that's better than throwing a 2-0 fastball and letting Ripken have a rip at it.
3-0 the count now.
And don't be surprised if Ripken doesn't have the green light here. Knowing Davey Johnson as I do, if he gets a fastball, he may.
And that is a called strike.
And it was a fastball, but Ripken decided not to swing at it. I guarantee he had the green light. Fastball in, supposed to be away, but and Ripken looked like he was looking away.
Looked pretty hittable.
Yes, it was. A lot of hitters do not like to swing 3-0.
He may have let the hittable one go by here. Well, and that was where Moyer wanted to get it, down and away with a changeup, and it is 3-2.
John, a lot of hitters do not like to swing 3-0 because if they swing a bad pitch, they feel bad. But he took a 3-0 fastball down the middle. Now he goes after a perfect changeup, knee high and away. That's a good pitch by Moyer.
And now the crowd comes alive. Rising with 2 strikes to their feet. 2-1 Seattle. Surhoff at third. A pop-up. Sorrento. So Moyer gets through it. Coming back from a 3-0 count to get Ripken. A-Rod, Buhner, and Sorrento coming up for Seattle 2-1. Scott Erickson. Alex Rodriguez will lead it off here. He tapped one out in front of the plate and was tagged out by Lenny Webster his first time. And he bounces one foul on a fastball, a hard sinker from Scott Erickson. Rodriguez, Buhner, and Sorrento for Seattle here in the fourth. 2 runs and 3 hits for Seattle. 1 run and 3 hits for Baltimore. Too far outside. 1 ball, 1 strike to A-Rod. Rodriguez did not match his incredible numbers of last year, his first full year in the big league, but outstanding numbers nonetheless. Alomar throws him out. So there is 1 away. More action tomorrow on ESPN at 4 Eastern. It will be game 3 of Atlanta and Houston. John Smoltz versus Shane Reynolds. Then the Marlins and the Giants on NBC. Alex Fernandez and Wilson Alvarez, the 2 former Chicago White Sox aces, will meet at Candlestick Park in game 3 there. And both the Astros and Giants need a win to avoid being swept in their National League Series. Here's Jay Buhner. He takes a called strike.
He said Candlestick Park.
3-count park.
Okay. At
Candlestick Point.
I always call it Candlestick, but you're usually more proper with it.
It depends on whose broadcast I'm working.
Oh, okay.
Jay Buhner grounded to short. Coming to you live from the King County Indoor Baseball and Football Arena here in Seattle. 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Buhner.
Scott Erickson is still throwing a lot of breaking balls, but he's throwing strikes with it. And again, as long as he's throwing strikes with it, he's going to be okay.
Well, there have been 10 outs recorded by Erickson. He's had 2 strikeouts and 7 ground ball outs already. So there's only been 1 fly ball out. That was hit by Cora. And of course, there was also a long fly ball double hit by Roberto Kelly. After smashed and caught by Cal Ripken.
Well, that saves at least a double down the right left field line. I mean, that was a bullet.
Well, he looked just like his boyhood idol Brooks Robinson there.
And third base, you know, is a position where you just have to react to the ball being hit. You do not have time to chase a lot of pitches, a lot of ground balls. And that ball was hooking away from him. He got it right up the extreme part of the glove. Right at the tip of his glove. That's the only reason he was able to make that catch. That was a bullet by Buhner.
When Cal first came up to the big leagues, he was a third baseman. Paul Sorrento taking a strike. It is 0-1. 2 down, nobody out. And Cal, they actually traded away an outstanding third baseman to make room for him. They traded Doug DeCinces to the Angels to make room for Ripken. And sinker down and away. 1 ball, 1 strike. But I say sinker. That might have been Erickson's changeup right there. With a lot of movement. 1 ball, 1 strike. Sorrento singled his first time. Earl Weaver in mid-season 1982 when Cal was a rookie decided they'd be better off if Cal moved over to shortstop. And they got a lot of argument. Earl did from the front office. But Earl prevailed and Cal moved to short. So it's somewhat ironic that all these many years later, Cal is back at third. You know, he went there for one bizarre week last year when they put Manny Alexander at short. And the first play of the first game in the first inning, Cal made a diving stab of a hard ground ball. And that's a ball. 3-2. Well, Scott Erickson has really settled in now. So these Mariner fans who are very quiet, very tense, and Joe mentioned they have good reason to be, especially the way Erickson has seemingly settled into a groove here. Another ground ball from shallow right field. Alomar throws out Sorrento, and the Mariners, for the first time in the game, go down in order. Harold Baines is coming up. 2-1 Seattle. Baines, who went deep his last time. We'll be right back. Seattle is leading the 1 Baltimore run on a home run to the opposite field in the second inning by Harold Baines. And here is Baines now to lead off against Jamie Moyer in the 5th. Still 2-1 for the Mariners. Right up the middle. And another base hit for Harold Baines. All of the Orioles hits in this game, and I mean, all of them only have been 4, but all 4 of them have been by left-handed hitters.
Well, Harold Baines likes the ball out over the plate. This looks like a little slider right out over the plate. It is a little slider. It's actually over the middle of the plate, and he rips it back through the middle for a base hit.
I mentioned all 4 of the hits by lefties. Even more specifically, all 4 of the hits are by 2 lefties. Surhoff is 2 for 2, and so is Baines. This has been the only Orioles hits.
Sometimes I wonder why a pitcher like Moyer, who has trouble with left-handers, will not move sometimes on the rubber to get a little better angle. Hitters move in the batter's box, and some pitchers I've known will move on the mound, you know, to get a little better angle. But I wonder why he doesn't move, in the fact that he has so much problem, so, you know, over the years with left-handers. Not just a coincidence. I mean, he has problems with left-handers. The reason is, I believe, he can't get people to chase that breaking ball off the outside corner.
Lenny Webster, the hitter, he flied out to left his first time. That's too low. 1 ball and no strikes. 2-1 Mariners. But the Orioles right there in the ball game. The big crowd here after the Mariners jumped ahead with 2 quick runs right away in the first inning. I think we're hopeful that maybe they would bury Erickson early on. But Erickson has settled in nicely. This is a double play ball. A-Rod. There's one. Corner to first. 2.
And that's what good pitchers will do for you. They get the ground ball for your infield to turn it. And this is perfect defense. Lenny Webster hitting the ground ball. Rodriguez to Cora to Sorrento. And that's the way you do it. 6-4 to 3. Your pitcher's best friend.
And you know, one of A-Rod's idols as a kid was Cal Ripken. And he really looked up to Cal and patterned himself after Cal. He loved the Cal's work ethic. And I loved his approach on how he fielded that ground ball because it looked just like Cal. I mean, the perfect fundamental approach. He had the glove and the hand right next to it, the whole bit.
Yeah, get down on the ball, stay down, catch it in front with 2 hands.
2 down, nobody on. Here's Bordick. A little flare. Rodriguez can't get to it. Base hit. Bordick, the first right-handed hitter to get a hit for the Orioles today. John Stearns, the first base coach, talking it over with Bordick over there.
That wasn't this bad dude Stearns.
Bad dude.
Bad dude. That's his nickname. John Bad Dude Stearns. He's quite a character.
Well, what makes him such a bad dude?
That was his nickname when I met him, and I didn't want to find out.
Well, he looks kind of bad right there. You know what I'm saying?
He's quite a character, though. Great first base coach. He's always talking to the players. I mean, he's good to have on your coaching staff. A lot of energy.
And if there's a brawl, I want him on my side.
You're right.
Sick and bad dude. Here's Brady Anderson. And that's ball 1. Brady has grounded to short and popped out to first. Brady's had a lot of injury problems this year, since he feels as well as he's felt all year right now. Wearing that number 24 in the helmet, you might have seen that on many of the Orioles helmets when their teammate Eric Davis was diagnosed with cancer earlier in the year and had to leave the ball club for his treatments. The team, and he had become such a short time, such a popular man in that clubhouse and a leader on this team, that they put that on the helmet to show their support for Eric Davis. And he has come back to them, and in a big way, spiritually and in a very real way, offensively. And he adds a lot defensively in the outfield, speed in the base paths. I mean, Davey Johnson is as sentimental, I guess, as any manager, but he didn't put Eric Davis on this postseason roster to be sentimental. Valuable right-handed batter can do a lot of things. Well, now Brady Anderson has walked on 4 pitches. Suddenly, with 2 outs, a bloop single, and then a 4-pitch walk. And here is Roberto Alomar, the man who finished the year in such a hot streak, with a chance to tie this ball game, or even more than that.
Well, he fell behind Brady Anderson, and therefore he did not want to give in, so he was trying to get Brady to chase a couple of pitches. There were 2 pitches that were close enough for Brady to attack, but he laid off. That one I thought he could have hit. All 4 there just too high, but I think he was very careful with Brady after he got behind in the count. They remember the 50.
69 pitches now, thrown by Moyer. He tries to end the 5th inning. He's in some trouble. 2 men on. Very high. Alomar has grounded to first, and he's hit a comebacker. 0 for 2. Now Lou Piniella. And I wonder, Joe, if he thinks something may be wrong with Moyer.
Well, that's what he's going to claim anyway. At least he's going to buy some time for someone to get up down in the bullpen, but he's taking the umpire with him. That way he's not being charged with a time to the mound. He wants to, ask Jamie, is he okay? And the umpire has to go with you if that's the case. He wants Jamie to tell him the truth, and we'll see if Jamie convinces him one way or the other.
They certainly want Moyer to go deep in the game. They had to use the bullpen for 4 innings last night. Johnson was taken out after the 5th. I don't know, Joe, this does not look good right now.
No.
And that's it for Moyer.
Yeah.
They are signaling to the bullpen for a left-hander. And it might be a Spoljaric.
Well, Spoljaric pitched in last night's ball game.
So Moyer has departed the mound and is heading back into the dugout. And there's Karen Moyer, obviously very concerned. 2-1 Seattle, 2 men on. Spoljaric coming up. So Moyer, 69 pitches, 4 2/3 innings, 1 run and 5 hits allowed. Matchup, Andy Pettitte, the left-handed ace of the Yankees, and the rookie, Jarrett Wright. Remember, Joe, earlier in September, we saw Jarrett Wright pitch very impressively against the Cleveland Indians on Sunday Night Baseball. But now the 21-year-old goes to New York, to the Bronx, to the big ballpark, to pitch against the Yankees in a must-win game for Cleveland. That's a little bit of pressure for him. 8 o'clock tonight. That game will be seen on Fox later tonight. Well, Spoljaric ready to go. He inherits a 1-ball, no strike count to Alomar with 2 men on. And that foul ball right off the mask of the plate umpire, Dale Ford. 1 ball, 1 strike. Spoljaric, an entirely different kind of a pitcher from Jamie Moyer.
Well, he has a good fastball, and first pitch was a fastball in. But if he can get ahead in the count, you still have to throw breaking balls to Alomar because he's not used to hitting left-handers from the side.
And that fastball is too low. 2-1 the count.
One of the advantages you have if you're a switch hitter is that the ball is always breaking towards you, whether you're hitting from the right side against left-handed pitching or from the left side against right-handed pitching. The ball is always coming towards you, and in this case, it'll be going away.
Bordick at second, Anderson at first, 2 down. On the outside corner. 2-2. And Joe, this guy throwing 90-91. That looks pretty hot coming in after Moyer.
Well, that was an excellent fastball, great location. Look at this pitch. Right on the outside corner, about belt time.
The Kingdom now. The crowd trying to come to the aid of Spoljaric. A foul tip, although Dale Ford never bothered to give us that signal.
It was a good fastball inside again. He had just gone away with a fastball, came back in under the hands. And Alomar, as good a hitter he is, that's why he's a good hitter. He was able to spoil that pitch.
Dale Ford, he's too busy umpiring to give us the signal. 2 on, 2 out. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And now the count is full. 3-2. And again, that roar of the crowd is replaced by that tension here. 2-1, the Mariners are leading. Bordick and Anderson will take off now. There they go. Griffey's got a long run for this one, deep into left center field. This one is off his glove. Bordick has scored the tying run. Anderson has scored the go-ahead run. 3-2 for the Orioles.
That's what Roberto Alomar is all about right there. He spoiled a good pitch with 2 strikes on the pitch before, fouled it off. That should have been the out pitch that Spoljaric wanted. He fouled it off. Now he gets a fastball out over the plate, and he drives it to center field. See, this is a different pitch, right out over the plate and down, and he hits it hard. Griffey Jr. goes back, and he leaps up. He almost comes down with it. I mean, that would have been a great catch. I mean, he was going all out. He says, I've got to catch this ball. He went all out to catch it, and right there he gives you just a great effort, and it does hit off of his glove.
Now Surhoff, a bloop along the left field line, foul.
And this is why they were quiet around here, because a 1-run lead against the Orioles is never safe. The Orioles are a veteran ball club, and they know how to win. They know how to do. They know how to hit in every situation, and Roberto Alomar proves it right there.
And here's another dangerous hitter, Surhoff, with a chance to deliver another big run. It is 0-2. The Seattle bullpen is busy. Spoljaric. As you see, Bobby Ayala, right-hander, up in the bullpen now. Spoljaric unable to put Alomar away. Almost did, but not quite. And now the Mariners, for the first time today, are trailing. And Alomar at second. He's ready to go in anything with 2 down. Surhoff is 2 for 2 today. 1-2. Geronimo Berroa has come out on deck rather than Eric Davis. Two. We understand that Eric Davis has suffered a strain of the left quadricep muscle. And it might have happened in that close play at first base when Joey Cora threw him out in a brilliant play. He struck him out. But now the Orioles have turned the game around. 3-2 Baltimore after 4½. Different ideas, and the Mariners have to play catch-up. 3-2 for the Orioles as Dan Wilson stands in against Erickson. The first 2 hitters of the game as Wilson takes a strike. Joey Cora and Roberto Kelly each got base hits. Since that time, the Mariners have had only 1 other hit against Scott Erickson. It's a foul off the right field line. A new right fielder is in the ball game for the Orioles. Geronimo Berroa has replaced Eric Davis out there. Davis left the game with a strained left quadricep muscle. And we received a report from the Mariner clubhouse that Jamie Moyer left the game because of a strained left elbow. Wilson struck out his first time. It's a 1-2 count. Andy Sheets and then leadoff man Joey Cora scheduled to follow here in the 5th inning. Mariners have only 3 hits so far against Erickson. The Orioles have 6 hits. Struck him out with the slider.
This is Eric Davis running out that last ground ball, and you can see he starts to hobble a little bit right there, and we're told that that's why he came out of the ball game.
So Eric Davis is out of the game. Here's Andy Sheets, and that slider in there for a called strike. To his feet. The throw off the bag. Nice pickup by Palmeiro over there, and nearly an incredible play by Bordick, but Sheets gets the infield hit.
Well, that's why they wanted Bordick to play shortstop and move Ripken to third. A lot more range from a Bordick as he goes deep in the hole here, diving stop. Now watch how quickly he gets up, and he fires to first base. He had a chance, but the throw is offline. And Sheets beats it out, and you mentioned nice play by Palmeiro to keep that ball from going past him and giving Sheets an extra base.
So Sheets is aboard now, and here is Joey Cora. He has singled and scored a run, and he is flied out to center. Again, remember, Erickson is a guy who gives up a lot of steals. Got a kind of a slow delivery to the plate. He's allowed 1 tonight already, or actually this afternoon.
But I think you'll see more of a hit and run situation than a straight steal.
A strike to Cora.
And what happens a lot of times, you want to hit and run, you try to get the count in your favor. For instance, if he would have missed with that first pitch, now it's 1-0. That's a perfect hit and run count. 2-1, 3-1, of course, those are perfect hit and run situations.
Joey Cora. Palmeiro on the bag at first, holding against Sheets. 1 out. In the dirt, Palmeiro, nice pickup.
A little drop down, sidearm, flip to first base.
Throw a sinker over to first. Ray Miller. There's so many problems and so much was made of Erickson's keeping runners close that when Ray Miller came in, he said, listen, I don't want you to even think about it anymore. We'll give a signal when we want you to do something with a run. Otherwise, forget about it. Cal Ripken, nice pickup. There's one at second. Now Alomar to first, not in time. Ripken was very shallow, and that ball was hit sharply right at him, and he played it cleanly to get the force out at second.
Yeah, tough break there for the Mariners because he hit that ball real hard. Anywhere except right at Ripken is going to be a base hit in the hole. I mean, see how tight Ripken is? If that ball's hit any place else, you know, just another foot to his left, it's a base hit. But they make a nice play at second. No chance to double up Cora. Now you see Ripken, he's coming in, but he's ready. He gets right there. You take a little bounce. That ball, one hopper. I mean, just a beautiful play there by Ripken. As I said, third base, and you just react more to the ball. You don't really have time to do much of anything else.
And now Roberto Kelly chases the slider and doesn't get it. Well, that's the 20th, or this is the 20th batter of the game for the Mariners. And 17 times the first pitch from Erickson has been a strike.
Well, that tells you another reason that he has been so successful since the first inning. If you stay ahead of the hitters, you're usually going to have success if you have a big pitch to get him out with, and he has a good sinker, and he also is displaying a good slider today.
Cora at first, ordinarily not a big base stealer, only 6 steals this year, and on top of that, he was thrown out 7 times attempting to steal.
This is a situation if you're Lou Piniella, everything is gone stale. The crowd is taken out of the game so far. A stolen base here would get them back in the game. It may be worth the risk of taking it, because if he doesn't make it, then you have Kelly leading off in front of Griffey in the bottom of the 6th inning.
All right, well, I'm with you. I'm sending him.
Yeah.
And Griffey Jr. would be next on the other hand. If Kelly gets a base hit here, does something to keep the inning going. Griffey would get a shot with 2 men out right here. There goes Cora to the hole at short. Boarding. Got him at first.
Well, we were thinking alike anyway.
Yeah. That's the 10th ground ball out. Picked up by. All right, Gary. I'm thinking of hopping down there myself for that one.
Yeah.
And
like a good idea.
And I know that you're too busy, Joe, so I've asked Reggie Jackson to meet me down there.
Okay, yeah, I can't ride with you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going with the real big home run power guy.
I can understand that.
Geronimo Berroa up for the first time. This guy's got a lot of power. 26 homers for the year. Started the year with the Oakland Athletics. Acquired by the Orioles in mid-season. 1 ball, 1 strike. Berroa. I said Eric Davis, I know, when we went to the commercial, but it's Berroa, then Palmeiro and Cal Ripken Jr. against Paul Jarrett. That's a strike on the outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes now. Berroa just looks like a bundle of nerves up there, the way he waits for that pitch, wiggling the bat around. And a high foul on the curveball, and that's out of play.
Well, he's a very aggressive hitter, and that's the positive for Berroa. The negative is he will chase a lot of pitches out of the strike zone, but you know, you never want to cut down on his aggressiveness.
He hit a home run here last night. It's his game. The long ball. Just missing on the inside. With a fastball. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Orioles 3. Mariners 2.
Well, he thought this pitch was going to be out over the plate, but see, it's in under the hands. He was going out to get something away from him.
And the changeup away. just did manage to fight that one off. 2-2. You know, Joe, this is such a big game for the Mariners. We were here when they had that one-game playoff with the Angels. Winner take all, loser go home. They won that one. And, of course, then they went into the division series against the Yankees, came home down 2 games to none, had to win all 3 against the Yanks, and they did. That's a shot into right center field. Jr, who's got a great arm, cuts it off, and Berroa will be content with a single. Again, Spoljari almost put him away, just as he almost put Alomar away in the 5th inning. But in each case, the batter just did stay alive, foul tipping a pitch, only to then get a base hit.
Well, what that foul tip forces him to make another great pitch, and so far Spoljari has not been able to do that. After they foul the pitches off, he's gotten 2 pitches up and out over the plate.
Now Rafael Palmeiro has struck out and grounded out to first. He's 0 for 2. Very high, ball 1. The Seattle bullpen gets busy once again. There is Bobby Ayala for the 2nd time heating up in the Mariner bullpen. 6th inning, and the Orioles have a 3-2 lead.
Because they have all these left-handers in there, Lou wanted to use another left-hander, and that's why he brought Spoljari in.
Foul ball by Palmeiro.
But as we mentioned before, Ayala has been throwing the ball better than anyone else out of the bullpen. At least that's what Lou feels right now. He said he's been throwing great.
Yeah, he's got real mean stuff. Throws hard. A devastating split-fingered pitch. Middle infield double play deck. 1-1 to Palmeiro. That is strike 2 call. Rafael Palmeiro, never invited to an all-star game.
Amazing.
And yet, year in and year out, excellent defensively, always with the big numbers. And that is a foul tip. Yet another foul tip on a great Spoljaric pitch.
Well, this is the breaking ball that Palmeiro's been chasing a lot. Starts on the plate and breaks off, and he just barely gets a piece of it to stay alive. You can see he's completely fooled by it, but he gets enough to stay alive. Now the key is whether Spoljaric will make another good pitch, or he'll hang something as he's done with the other hitters. Well, he didn't hang that one.
You could have hung some laundry for that one. 2-2 the count.
And Lou Piniella knows, I mean, they're right on the brink of real problems here.
Cal Ripken is on deck, a right-handed hitter. Harold Baines behind him. Palmeiro into shallow left. Roberto Kelly at number 1. Now here's Kevin Kennedy.
John, Cal Ripken has made 2 great plays today, and here's why. His timing is perfect. Watch his feet. His feet are constantly in motion as the ball approaches the plate. Then he gets set and reacts for the quickness to make these plays. Here's play number 1 to his right on the line drive. Play number 2 to his left, a hard ground ball.
Well, that's a great point, Kevin. And you know, Joe, on that second one especially, I mean, Cal kind of reminded me of like a tennis player awaiting that 140-mile-an-hour serve, you know? I mean, how they're always
well, if you get that close as he was, you better be alive and ready to move and ready to protect yourself, because he was in very close to Joey Cora when he smoked that ball down to him.
All right, bro, let's get him now. Move down.
Well, here is Cal Ripken at the plate now. Cora signaling over to Alex Rodriguez. And Cal takes a strike at the knees. 1-1. Cal Ripken. And when the Orioles won the World Series in his 2nd year, he was the MVP in the league that year, 1983. He said he didn't appreciate it as much as he should have, because he thought, hey, this will probably happen every year. This is the Orioles again trying to get back to a World Series. They've not been there since '83. They had not even made postseason again until last year, and even last year they got in as a wild card team.
They're giving him a lot of room on the right side. They're trying to pitch him inside, which helps if you're going to play that way, but there's a big hole on the right side, as you can see there.
Changeup. Jr going back in right field. That's the short porch out there. Can't get to it. Doesn't know where it is. Baroa is going to be waved home. Here comes the relay by Cora. Going to be close. He slides. He is out at the plate.
Buhner will get a lot of credit for this, but the play is made by Joey Cora. He throws a perfect strike to home plate, and that is why Baroa is out. Now Buhner goes back. He tries to catch it, and it's over his head. Now he doesn't know where it is, but then he finds it very quickly. Now watch Cora. Cora gets this ball, and he has to make a perfect throw. And you see him raise his hands. They give him the ball, and he makes a perfect throw right there. And a great job by Dan Wilson to block him off. That's what you call working the play fundamentally correct. Everything went well for the Mariners there.
Yeah, a beautiful pickup by Wilson. Ripken with a double. Now Harold Baines with a bounding ball to Cora. High hop. Throws him out. The Mariners get out of a terrible spot. The Ripken double. But it comes up empty. Griffey, Edgar, and A-Rod coming up. 3-2 Orioles, but the kingdom is rocking. There's two, although for a moment it looked like the Orioles might get another one there, Joe.
Well, this is a great 3 plays under pressure. All accurate throws. Now the ball bounces off. Buhner doesn't know where it is. Now he finds it. He gives Cora a good throw. Watch how quick Cora gets rid of that ball. That's like a double play. Right on the money, and a great tag there by Dan Wilson. That's how you win championship games. And that was a lot of pressure. If they fall behind there, Cal's still at second base in scoring position. It's going to be difficult. So that play may have gave them a big reprieve.
Well, it certainly lifted the crowd. Now Griffey, the power is up. The Mariners will give Erickson his stiffest test here. Griffey, then Edgar Martinez, and Alex Rodriguez. Griffey has grounded out, driving in a run and setting up a run, and he has walked and stolen a base. He laid off that fastball too low.
Good patience there by Griffey. In this situation, leading off the game in this inning with your team 1 run down, make sure you get a good pitch to hit. Do not go out of the strike zone.
2-0 the count to Griffey. 3-0.
Well, now with a 3-0 count, what do? As you can see, they're not a lot of productivity today from the Big Four. But what do you do here if you're Lou Piniella? I say you have to take, but Lou has seen this guy hit 56 home runs. He may want to let him take a swing.
I think he's letting him swing.
Yeah, I think so too. Hey, I didn't see him hit all 56.
Man, he hit that one like a laser shot. With Alomar way over into the hole towards first base.
That's how his father used to hit him, line drives through the infield. This is a fastball. It's a good pitch to hit. He attacks it. And I mean, he's got such a beautiful swing. His balance is so great that anytime he swings, the ball can go out of the ballpark. He doesn't have to do anything special to lift the ball out of the ballpark.
I'm going further, Joe. I'm saying the next time it's 3-0, he's swinging then too.
Okay.
Here is Edgar Martinez. Nobody out. The Mariners with their leadoff man aboard for the first time since the first inning. A broken bat blue. Bordick is under it. Makes the catch. Nice play by Bordick.
And that bat went all the way down the left field line out by the umpire. I mean, the barrel there, he is picking it up out in short left field. Rocky Rowe out there. Fastball inside. It just saws Martinez off completely. Martinez looked like he was looking for a pitch away so he could hit the hole on the right side. And Erickson crossed him up, threw him that sinker back inside, and he got the job done.
And Edgar is 0 for 3. And Edgar, for the series, is 1 for 7. Now Alex Rodriguez. He has given the Orioles a lot of pain. The last couple of years, Griffey back to the bag at first. Remember, he stole a base against Erickson back in the 3rd inning.
And he got a great jump in the 3rd inning. The thing you have to be careful of is, and the Orioles should be smart enough maybe even to pitch out just to give Griffey something to think about, rather than just saying, okay, if you want to steal it, we're going to play you straight up. Give the base runner a little something to think about. Pitch out one time, and let's, just to show him that you will.
Scott Erickson has now given up 5 hits in the game, but he has only a 1-run lead with which to work. Middle infield looking for that double play ball. That's through there for a called strike. 0-1 to Alex Rodriguez. He has just tapped one just out in front of the plate and was tagged out, and he's grounded out to second. He's 0 for 2.
Interesting, both of these hitters, Rodriguez and Martinez, will take a shot to right field. First pitch from Erickson inside. That sinker boring in. A lot of inside fastballs you can hit the other way, but not that good sinker boring in like that.
Down the right field line, but foul. It was just a shot down the right field line, but it was foul.
And that, again, Erickson is smart. He knows that Martinez will take a shot to right field. He knows that Rodriguez will. Also, came inside to Rodriguez. That pitch was a little more out over the plate, so Rodriguez took another shot to right field.
Jay Buhner, the big slugger, is on deck. 1 out, 1 on in the last of the 6th inning. Griffey getting his lead from first. 0-2 to Alex Rodriguez. Griffey steps back over onto the bag.
Most of the time, you see Junior's 15 out of 19 during the season, but most of the time, 0-2 is not a good base running pitch because it's a waste pitch in a lot of cases.
Fighting off the tough sinker, Alex Rodriguez, to keep it at 0-2.
But you can see in this case, Erickson wants to get the ground ball as quickly as he can without Junior trying to run or getting a chance to steal second base.
There's Buhner awaiting his turn, hoping to bat here in the inning. 1 out, Griffey at first. A hard slider. Nice save by Lenny Webster, keeping Griffey at first base, keeping the double play in order.
Good job. You're right. He jumped over with his body to get in front of that pitch. You see a lot of catchers nowadays reach out and try to catch it. And there you see why. That tells you why he was a good fielder, but he used his body as catchers should and not just reach out there with their glove.
He's been one of the Orioles' secret weapons this year. Doing a great job behind the plate. He's hit well, much better than they expected. He's one of those very important parts of the puzzle for the Orioles. Last year they hit 257 home runs and finished second to the Yankees, and ultimately that was their demise. That they only had the one way to score runs. They had to hit the home run. Now this year the home runs are down, but they have many different ways to go at it. Griffey again back to the bag at first.
It's interesting because this year the Mariners, they broke the record set last year for home runs by the Orioles. The Orioles hit 257 last year. The Mariners hit 264 this year to break that record. Most ever hit in a single season by a team. Edwin Martinez, he's very upset, I guarantee, because he's such a good hitter. He just never likes to get jammed.
1 ball and 2 strikes. There goes Griffey, and he'll make it without a throw. His second steal of the game.
But he was going to make it anyway because he had another good jump. He had read Erickson well again, and he was on his way, and not much to think. That's why Webster had to hurry. He knew that he did not have a lot of time. I'm really surprised at the acceleration that Griffey Jr. gets those first 3 or 4 steps. Normally tall guys and big players, they take 4 or 5, maybe even 6 steps to get up to full speed, but he is really accelerating quickly from first base.
So Griffey has gotten himself into scoring position. 2-2 to Alex Rodriguez. He strikes him out, chasing the slider down and away. 2 down.
No one can say that he's fallen in love with his sinker today, because he has used his breaking ball a lot today, and he's made good pitches with it. With 2 strikes, and you keep that breaking ball down, a lot of hitters will chase it. So Erickson has done a great job of mixing his pitches today. He has not thrown many changeups. He's been basically good, hard fastball, sinker, and the slider.
Now Jay Buhner. Griffey still at second, 2 down. Well, that one kind of exploded up there, up into the strike zone, and Buhner didn't get it.
It did not seem like Buhner was ready for that pitch. He just swung at it as an afterthought.
Buhner with 40 homers and 109 runs batted in. That is in there. Strike 2 call. Well, after Griffey, you've got Martinez, Rodriguez, and Buhner, all 3 great hitters, but none of the 3 of them have been able to get the ball out of the infield against Erickson today. Buhner, although his last time up, had an extra base hit taken away by Cal Ripken. He hit a line shot, headed down the left field line, and Ripken made a diving catch of it. Griffey at second, 2 down. Let him be going anything. There's a pickoff play. Look out! And it was awfully close. Alomar took the throw from Erickson, and that was executed well.
Very good execution there, and a very close play. That's a timing play. And maybe if the throw's on the third or shortstop side, he may have had him. See, it's on the outfield side. He has to bring it back to second base. Griffey Jr. able to get back there.
He will hold.
This guy Webster is just he's saving Erickson, but you know that's why he has confidence in Webster. He knows that he doesn't have to worry about where he throws the ball, and Webster's doing the job of keeping it in front of him. And look at this. I mean, he gets his entire body there, and that's why he's able to stop these balls. But I mean, it's amazing that you have confidence in your catcher. You know he's going to do that. Someone else he may not have the same confidence in. He may hang some pitches. With Webster, he knows that he can snap it off, and he'll keep it in front of him.
Look at that. Strike 3 call. The slider right on the edge. So Griffey leads off with a single, and then Martinez, Rodriguez, and Buhner down in order. 3-2 Orioles. And pitcher Eric Hansen and second baseman Brett Boone for the Reds in that trade. Certainly has worked out well for the Mariners, and the Reds certainly couldn't complain about the play that Boone has given them at second base, although he certainly did not hit this year, Joe.
He's really struggled offensively, but he's been a very good defensive player. The one problem that Ayala has sometimes is he has a lot of moving parts. You see, he falls off the mound and his head moves and whatever, and sometimes he can get in a habit of just, I mean, he gets into a zone of just throwing the ball completely out of the strike zone. He can't find the strike zone, but when he finds it, he's always been successful.
Lenny Webster, the hitter. And that is in there. Strike 2 call. Webster has flagged out to left and grounded into a double play. Mike Bordick is on deck. A foul. It's almost uncanny, Joe. The third time in the last 3 innings that a guy has just barely chipped one foul on 2 strikes. 2 other times, actually the 4th time, 2 of the other times, the batter ended up getting a big hit. Alomar, a real big one. Alomar's 2-run double to put them ahead in the 5th inning after he had almost struck out. One and 2. Spoljaric had a hard time putting those hitters away. after they stayed alive. We'll see now here with Ayala. That's an odd-looking swing. Rodriguez throws him out. One away. Now here is Mark Schwartz down in the seats.
All right, John, I'm joined by Digger Phelps, who is Jamie Moyer's father-in-law and has spoken with Jamie. Jamie, of course, leaving in the 5th inning after 70 pitches. What did he tell you, Digger?
Well, just listening to a conversation with Jamie and Dr. Pettigan, the team doctor, right now there's nothing they can do. Probably tomorrow in Baltimore do an MRI. It's not ligament. It's related to the muscle injury he had back in spring practice and spring training. And sometimes that scar tissue just gives you that aggravation, and that's all it was going into that 5th inning.
Yeah, he missed 4 starts in April, and this apparently is the same injury. What kind of mental shape is Jamie in right now?
He's really dejected. He wanted this. He smelled it. It's what he's lived for, and right now he's just a little frustrated. But the most important thing is we go day by day, and let's see what happens.
All right, Jamie Moyer is traveling to Baltimore. Thanks, Digger. Now back up to the booth and John.
All right, yeah, and I'm glad he caught himself there. Spring training, we call it, Digger.
Spring practice is what they do at college, right?
Yeah.
With their basketball program.
Yeah. 1 ball, 1 strike to Mike Bordick. Just missing 2 balls and a strike.
Well, that's the Digger you were talking about, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He used to coach at Notre Dame.
I thought he was a broadcaster.
Oh. Maybe I'm still mixing him up.
Maybe before he was a broadcaster. Where's Dickie V when we need him? And that's ball 3. 3-1. Now, this is not a guy you want to walk. He's not a home run threat. The man on deck is definitely a home run threat, Brady Anderson. Bordick has really hurt the Mariners in the 2 games of this series with his bat. Now he's got a chance to hurt them because Ayala could not throw him a strike.
And this is what I was talking about with Ayala. I mean, through the Webster, he looked like, you know, the greatest pitcher in the league. And then he comes right back to Bordick, and he walks him on 4 pitches. I mean, 5 pitches. I mean, it wasn't even that close. So that's part of the problem. He can be a little erratic at times.
Well, Bordick last night had that big double. Driving a run for the Orioles against Randy Johnson. Had 2 hits altogether. In this game, with 2 down and nobody out in the 5th inning, Bordick got a single against Jamie Moyer. That started that 2-run rally that Alomar cashed in with a double. Now Bordick, with 1 out, has walked here in the 7th. Brady Anderson is up. Ball 1. Anderson is driving to short, out to first, and he walked as the final official batter faced by Jamie Moyer. Before he left the game, he did throw 1 more pitch to Alomar before he departed with a sprained left elbow. Change up. Now Wilson asks for timeout. He's going to go talk to Ayala, who has fallen behind Anderson here, 2-0.
Well, he's shown you that he does have good stuff, but it doesn't do any good if you don't throw strikes with it. You cannot throw strikes with it. It doesn't do you any good, but he does have good stuff.
Ayala, the 96 2/3 innings of the regular season, walked 41. And not just the walks, but sometimes he didn't get the pitches always where he wanted them. He gave up 14 homers in 96 innings. That's a huge home run total for a relief pitcher for that many innings.
Well, he's in a 2-0 count, which is a dangerous count for a guy like Brady.
Strike to the outside, and Brady's going to talk to Dale Ford about that one.
That was actually a pretty good pitch from Ayala in that he had the ball toward the middle of the plate and then it ran away from Brady. And Brady shows how smart a hitter he is. He doesn't want to attack that 2-0 when he has the advantage.
Chased that one down around his ankles. 2-2.
Well, he came back with an off-speed pitch.
So that's a great pitch. I mean, Brady's thinking that one's coming in there as a fat one, and he changed speeds with it. 2-2 to Brady Anderson. 59,309. The paid crowd here today. That one is hit a long way to right field. Buehler is back. It is gone into the home run porch, and now a shock has set in at the Kingdome. It is 5-2 for the Orioles. Brady Anderson has hit the big home run on the big wall in right field. Only 312 feet to the foul pole in right. And it is 5-2 for the Orioles. Now listen to this, Joe. I mean, this place, it sounds like somebody had just passed away here.
That's a high fastball right out over the plate, and Brady drills it. It was more of a line drive than anything else. Jay Buhner trying to decoy, didn't come back.
Roberto Alomar, and one of the big hits for the Orioles, the 2-run, 2-out double with 2 strikes in the 5th inning to put them ahead. Now Brady Anderson with a 2-run homer, taking advantage of the friendly home run confines of this ballpark. And Griffey has that one.
Well, it just proves a point. You know, it happened last night to Randy Johnson pitching from behind against these veteran hitters who are smart. And he walked Bordick, and then he comes back, falls behind Brady Anderson. And so Brady takes advantage of him as well. You just cannot pitch from behind against veteran hitters because they know how to take advantage of those types of pitches, crooked pitches.
Here is B.J. Surhoff. Baines and Anderson have homered in this game. 5-2 for the Orioles in the 7th inning. So Ayala, we had mentioned, 14 home runs allowed in 96 of the 3rd innings in the regular season, and he gives up a huge one here to Brady Anderson. A Kingdome home run. 1 ball and 2 strikes now to Surhoff. Unlike the Houston Astros, who lost 2 in a row in Atlanta this week, and the San Francisco Giants, who lost 2 in a row in Florida, the Mariners, they're leaving home after today. Both the Giants and the Astros at least are going home now. Down 2 games to none. The Mariners are heading to Camden Yards after today's game. It's a foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And the Mariners came from a 2 games to nothing disadvantage in 1995 against the Yankees in the division series. They lost 2 in New York and then came back and won 3 thrilling games in a row from the Yankees in this ballpark.
Brady looking at the spot that he hit the bat.
Surhoff is down on strikes. But the Orioles have added 2. It is now 5-2, and time is running out of the Mariners.
ESPN's presentation of the Major League Baseball Division Series is brought to you by National Car Rental. So what are you waiting for? Let's go. And by Owens Corning, makers of virtually itch-free Pink Plus insulation featuring Miraflex fiber.
John Miller and Joe Morgan at the Kingdome in Seattle. And the Mariners, this ball club that made such a dramatic comeback in 1995, overcoming a huge deficit to finally catch and then ultimately in the playoff beat the Angels and to win over the Pacific Northwest. And suddenly this ballpark, which had been so empty for so many years, became the House of Thrills, which it stayed through last year. Placards filling storefronts all around the downtown area saying you gotta love these guys, and they do. I mean, they love the Mariners here in Seattle.
Well, the Mariners need to at least make an impact here on Erickson this inning, because the closer you get to Randy Myers, the less chance you have of coming back. And they need to do something, as you said, to get this crowd back into this ball game.
Sorrento the hitter, and the count 1 ball 1 strike. But now the Mariners, those comeback kids of 95, have put themselves in a spot where they really have to do some serious coming back and in a hurry. They're down 5-2 in the 7th. And this Baltimore bullpen has not given up many leads this late in the game. In 1997, the Orioles only lost 6 games all year when they were leading after 6 innings. I mean, if you don't beat them the first 6, you often don't beat them. And Randy Myers blew 1 save the whole season. Sorrento has a single, and he is also grounded out. The Mariners have only 3 hits since the first inning against Erickson, only 5 hits total. 2-2. And he really diffused the Mariners in that 6th inning. When Griffey led off with a single, then all the sluggers were coming up. Edgar Martinez, Alex Rodriguez, and Buhner, and he shut them down in order. Nobody even got the ball out of the infield. Then the Orioles turned it around. A walk to Mike Bordick, of all people, by Ayala. And then the wildness, Joe, I mean, that's, you brought it up at that time. The wildness of Ayala turned on him again. The walk, and then Brady Anderson with the home run. 5-2. Snyder misses. 3-2. Erickson, in addition to being so hard to hit, has only walked one batter in this game. That was Griffey back in the 3rd inning. Sorrento had 31 home runs during the year, 3rd in the club. And he leads off with a walk. Now let's go to the spotlight with Kevin Kennedy.
John, back in the 6th inning when Griffey almost got picked off. This time pickoff play is an old Earl Weaver play. The second baseman and catcher communicate with each other to put this play on. The pitcher gets a sign from the catcher. Watch a catcher's glove. And the second baseman breaks. Erickson spins and throws. Alomar is there, and he almost got Griffey.
All right, Kevin. And I know the Orioles for many years had their spring training in Miami at the old ancient Miami Stadium, then called Bobby Maduro Miami Stadium. They had the one big field, and then they had a little diamond in the corner. Not a whole field, just a diamond. And they used to work on those plays in spring training on what they called the little field. And Earl Weaver would conduct those sessions as if they were all in boot camp. And they'd work them over and over and over again. And the Orioles, in their best days, when they were a perennial champion, a perennial contender under Earl Weaver, that was a signature of those ball clubs. I mean, they did those kinds of things better than anybody. And Davy Johnson, of course, he came up with the Orioles. I mean, he learned baseball in the Orioles system, and realizing a dream to come back and manage the Orioles. Although, as you see, Cal Ripken, who also grew up an Orioles fan, his dad a manager in the Orioles farm system, later a coach in the big leagues, and he actually managed Cal and his brother Bill. A family thing for the Ripkens. Now, Lenny Webster didn't catch one. He's in a slump, Joe.
Well, he's been making all these great plays, and he just reached out with his glove hand, and that one went off. A little more movement on the pitch, probably. There you see the ball just goes off his glove for a pass ball.
Dan Wilson, the hitter, he has struck out twice today against Erickson. This is a guy that gave them a little extra pop. As Jesse Orozco, the veteran, is ready in the Baltimore bullpen if needed. Wilson gave him some pop lower in the order, but he is slumping right now. And down he goes for the 3rd consecutive time on strikes.
Well, good breaking ball. And you can see, I mean, Wilson has just been pulling off the entire game. I think part of that, again, I think he's a little tired, and he's using his body to try to start the bat. And you can't, just can't do that. But a lot of it, I'm sure, has to do with the fact he's caught so many games this year. No catcher does wear down.
Well, he is now 2 for 39 in postseason play. His last 3 postseason. There's Armando. I mean, this guy really throws hard. Those Mark Wohlers type guys. But here is Rob Ducey. Batting for Andy Sheets. 287 during the regular season. That's a fair ball. Down the left field line. Sorrento The throw will go to second. Could be close. It's there waiting for him. And Ducey, with a terrible play, is easily out at second base.
And a great play down the left field line by B.J. Surhoff. He had nothing on his mind but second base. He did not even look at the runner from second. He just came up and fired a strike, and he has a very good, accurate arm. But this is normally a double, and I'm sure that's what Ducey was thinking. But watch how quickly B.J. gets over there. Now watch him. He's not even thinking about anything but second base. Doesn't even hesitate. And he throws a strike. And you see Alomar tags him in the air before he touches the bag. But he does get a run home.
So gets the hit, and then he tries for the extra base, and it proved to be ill-advised. Now Cora batting with 2 down and nobody out. 5-3 for the Orioles. This could be looking a little more serious right now with Ducey on base and 1 out. Roberto Kelly on deck, and then Griffey. 2 down, nobody out. Base hit. Joey Cora with his second hit of the game.
Here's B.J. Surhoff. You see, he was rounded the ball so he was in position to make a throw. He did not even hesitate. He just came around and made the throw.
Yes! Yes, sir! Yeah! That boy, B.J.!
Has greeted Armando Benitez, the first reliever out of the Baltimore bullpen. There's a runner at first and 2 down. Roberto Kelly, the hitter. Remember a year ago in Cleveland, Benitez came on in a tie ball game to face Albert Bell as Jacobs Field was going nuts, and ultimately Bell had a grand slam against him.
Well, he starts him off with a breaking ball. Slider. They have thrown Kelly a steady diet of breaking balls in both games, not just today, but yesterday's game as well.
He has hit a double off the right center field wall, grounded out twice. 1 for 3 in the game. Everybody standing in the Kingdom. Cora at first, 2 down. And back to the bag is Cora. Cal Ripken, meanwhile, is over hugging the line at third base. Scott Erickson, 6 2/3 innings, 3 runs, 7 hits allowed. See Ripken over there hugging the line at third. Well, he terribly fooled on that one, Joe.
Another slider.
Well, before Benitez came in, we saw, while the commercial was on, Kelly and Griffey talking it over, and Griffey was telling him what he threw. He's never faced Benitez before.
Well, that was, I don't know what he was swinging at. That ball actually never started in the strike zone, but as you said, he's never seen him before, so maybe.
And I mean, the critical point here is for him to somehow get on base and let Griffey take a shot. He struck him out on 3 pitches, and he never threw him that 98-mile-an-hour fastball. Benitez lays waste to Kelly. We are headed to the 8th inning. Berroa, Palmero, and Cal Ripken coming up. The Orioles are leading. Home runs today, and the Mariners are still trailing. And so far, as you see, Mike Flowers now at third base. That Mariners bullpen has allowed 4 runs to score since taking over for the injured Jamie Moyer. Baltimore finally going to its bullpen in the 7th, and Armando Benitez immediately dispatching Roberto Kelly with 59,000 people on their feet going nuts.
You throw him a slider and 2 splitters.
Pretty cool and calm there by the young Benitez. Geronimo Berroa, the hitter. Berroa singled at his only at bat since replacing the injured Eric Davis. Davis pulled a quadricep muscle in his left leg in the 4th inning. Base hit past the diving Blowers. More baseball tonight as the division series continues at Yankee Stadium. Jared Wright will face Andy Pettit. Game 2 of the series between the Indians and the Yankees. That'll be seen on Fox at 8 o'clock. And then tonight, baseball tonight, midnight Eastern, 9 Pacific, with the complete record of what's happened in baseball today. So much more baseball to come. Now Geronimo Berroa has been replaced at first base by Jeffrey Hammonds. He's a ordinarily very fast runner, much better defensive player than is Berroa. Well, Hammonds has had a little problem with an Achilles heel that he says probably won't be right until the off-season. But it's been strong enough that he's been able to play and started last night's game. Scored 2 runs for the Orioles. Rafael Palmeiro, 1 ball and no strikes. Palmeiro has struck out, grounded out, and flying to shallow left. 0 for 3. The Baltimore bullpen is very busy. Ayala works here. Spoljaric came on it for the injured Moyer in the 5th and promptly gave up a 2-run double to Roberto Alomar. Ayala in the 7th and gave up a 2-run homer to Brady Anderson. Baltimore is leading 5-3. 1 ball, 1 strike to Palmeiro. 3 of the 5 runs have been charged to Jamie Moyer. The 2 men who scored on the double by Alomar, allowed by Spoljaric, had been put on base by Moyer. 1-2 the count. Arthur Rhodes, the left-hander, and Caminecki, the right-hander, ordinarily a starting pitcher for the Orioles. The 2 men warming up out there. Armando Benitez looks on. And the strikeout.
Well, he took a page from Benitez. He threw him forkballs and splitters, and Rafael was out in front of each one of them. And there you see the splitter, and Rafael again out in front. He swung and missed all 3 of them about the same way. He was fooled a lot more by the speed than he was the movement of the ball.
Randy Johnson. Last night was not his night. Mariners now trying to play catch-up in the series and again in this game. Although they're much closer right now than they were by this time last night. And Griffey Jr. will be leading it off in the last of this inning for Seattle. And then Edgar Martinez, Alex Rodriguez, Jay Buhner. So they'll have their biggest hitters up last half of this inning. Cal Ripken had a double off the right field wall his last time. But Berroa was thrown out at the plate. Now you've got a much faster runner at first base. There's Hammonds, and he's running. Now fouls 1 away. Strike 1. Hammonds will go back to first.
Well, they had a hit and run on, and the whole right side was open as Joey Cora was covering, and Cal took a shot at it, but he got underneath it.
You know, and that brings to mind, Joe, that I mean, Cal has most of his career been pretty much a pull hitter. I mean, very unlikely for him to hit a double off the right field wall as he did the last time up.
Well, lately, he had a poor closing month. He hit 147 his last month. And I think he's a little late because of his back, and he's hitting everything to right field. All of his hits in this series have gone to right field.
1 strike to count.
And that's why I'm kind of wondering why you would have Cora covering when he hasn't hit a ground ball to shortstop or anything to the left side this entire series. Let's
see if they try it again here. 0-1 to Ripken. Baines not running. Cal again late. Fouls one back into the upper deck. 0-2 the count.
Well, he had 3 base hits in last night's ball game, and all of them were to left to right field. And then he had a base hit to right field today.
Baines, a left-handed hitter, is on deck. 1-2. Cheryl Baines out on deck, waiting his turn, hoping to bat here in the 8th inning. Ripken has grounded into 19 double plays this year. Just got a piece of it to stay alive.
Well, Ayala gets him out in front as well. See, Ripken's out in front of that splitter, and he just barely gets the top of it. Dan Wilson can't hold on to it.
Is back. Hammond's part of that Orioles Stanford connection. Mussina, a game 1 winner from Stanford as well. Punched into right field. That's a base hit. Jr hustling after it. Hammond's on his way to third. And he's going to be held at third. Into second with his second consecutive double. Cal Ripken, and yet another base hit the opposite way by Cal. He may have to adopt this style permanently, Joe. As a guy going to right field all the time, he's 5 for 9.
Right, and I mentioned he hit 147 the last 31 games of the season, so he was struggling. But everything in this series he hit the right. So again, why I couldn't understand why Cora was covering on the hit and run, because he has been fighting everything off that way. And another at bat where they barely get a piece of the ball, John, and then next pitch he gets a base hit to right, gets another base hit.
Now Baines will be walked intentionally. Lenny Webster is due up next, the right-handed hitter. The Orioles do not have any left-handed hitters off their bench available. All of their lefties are in the lineup.
Yeah, but they've done a good job today, so you don't care. He has gotten a lot out of the people, the left-handers that he put in this lineup. Anderson's, Alomar, Surhoff, Baines, all of them have produced something. The only one that has not is Palmeiro. Everyone else has produced something.
Anderson, a 2-run homer. Alomar, a 2-run double. Baines, a home run. B.J. Surhoff, 2 singles. Brady Anderson's home run right now is the margin of the lead for the Orioles. His 2-run homer brought home runs 4 and 5. There's Alomar, his 2-run double brought the Orioles from behind back in the 5th inning. So now the bases are loaded with 1 out. Lenny Webster is the hitter.
And they're playing back for a double play, except first and third can come to the plate, but shortstop and second base are playing back for 2.
Webster, a good eye there, laying off that splitter in the dirt. 1 ball and no strikes. Well, the Mariners' chance to come back and win this game may be very much on the line right here, and by extension their ability to come back and win this series may be on the line right now. The runners, Hammonds, Ripken, and Baines, as the ball is fouled back and out of play through a maze of speakers and wires and into the stands. Now the Mariners, Norm Charlton, the veteran left-hander, is going to get up in the bullpen. The ball got loose. Charlton's first throw down there got past the bullpen catcher. It goes to 2-1. Webster is flying to left. He's hit into a double play, and he's grounded to short. He is 0 for 3. That double play ball, and Moyer got him to hit in the 5th inning. That's what Ayala would like to get here. Hammonds, the pinch runner. Ripken, who doubled at second. Baines, who was walked intentionally at first. It is 3-1. This does not count.
Well, home plate umpire Dale Ford put his hands up right away, so and you can see it was interesting. Ayala didn't throw the ball to the plate. He bounced it so that Webster wouldn't know what pitch he was throwing.
Strike 2. 3-2. So Webster has taken all the way to 3-2 now, having fouled one off earlier in the count. And he walked him to force in a run. Ayala, who walked the 9th place hitter, Bordick, before Anderson's homer in the 7th, now has walked the light-hitting Webster to force in a run. And Nardi Contreras, the pitching coach, will go to the mound. It is 6-3 for the Orioles, and still only 1 out in this inning, with Bordick coming now at third base, Baines at second, and Webster at first. Bordick fouls one straight back. Bordick has grounded out, but in the 5th inning, with 2 down and nobody out, he singled. That started the 2-run runner to put them ahead on Alomar's double. In the 7th inning, with 1 out, he walked just ahead of Brady Anderson's home run. And Bordick has been, in many ways, the key offensive player in this series so far for the Orioles. 1 ball, 1 strike, blocked nicely by Dan Wilson. And we saw Roberto Kelly flailing away at some splitters, not even close to the strike zone against Armando Benitez, Joe. But the Orioles hitters are just almost invariably just taking the splitter.
Well, they're patient.
That is a base hit to left center field. Over to cut it off is Kelly. Coming in to score Ripken. Here's Baines. Webster to third. And the Orioles have broken it open now. After a 9-3 win last night, they are leading 8-3 today. And that will be the end of Bobby Ayala for today. Ripken double to right. They walk Baines intentionally. And Webster with a bases loaded walk for a run. And now Bordick with a 2-run single. And vacation plans may have to be made here soon for the Mariners, who are looking at the suddenly almost imminent possibility of going to Baltimore down 2 games, and the fans are about to fly off to Baltimore. The Orioles, the team with the best record in the league this year, first place in the East from the start to the finish, and they have come to Seattle and shown exactly why. Brady Anderson, the first pitch from Charlton, is belted to right center. That one is off the scoreboard. Webster scores, and here's Bordick to throw. Another fine play. The out recorded at the plate by Wilson, but over to third base goes Brady Anderson, and it is 9-3 for the Orioles.
Bordick's shaking up a little bit on the play, but I'll tell you what, well, maybe they're used to it during the season making these relays, but they're doing a great job. Rodriguez on that throw to the plate. Now Griffey Jr. gets this ball and he makes a perfect throw. Watch to Alex Rodriguez, and Rodriguez turns and fires to the plate right on the money, and the tag is applied by Dan Wilson. Good job there.
I mean, amazing he was able to hold on to that ball. Just he didn't have time to do anything except reach out and hit the one-handed tag. The batter, Roberto Alomar, but it is now 9-3 for the Orioles. 0-2 the count. Well, Bobby Ayala went 1 1/3 innings and has been charged with 6 runs, 4 hits, 3 walks. was really the problem for the Mariners all through this season. The bullpen not able to hold leads, not able to keep them in ball games. And they made the big trade, sending a prized rookie, Jose Cruz Jr. to Toronto to bolster the bullpen. And here we are now in the division series, and those bullpen problems are still there. And for the second consecutive game, it is 9-3. Today, unlike yesterday, the Orioles only breaking it open after the Mariners had gone to their bullpen. Well, the strikeout for Charlton, but not before 4 more runs have crossed. And the Orioles are having their own little private party at the Kingdome. Ken Griffey Jr. coming up, but it's 9-3 Orioles.
3 of the 4. He's 0 for 4.
And that's too high. 2-1 the count to Griffey now. And that's a ball outside. 3-1. Well, it certainly is a long shot now. If any team is capable of coming back from this deficit, it is the Mariners in this ballpark. Griffey now 3-2. Benitez threw him a splitter on 3-1.
Well, that's one of the reasons that he hasn't had any success against him. You got a guy out there throwing 95 miles an hour, and he throws you something else. You're sitting there looking for a fastball, and he throws you a splitter. That's tough.
Armando Benitez during the year had 106 strikeouts in 73 1/3 innings pitched. Amazing. He gave up only 49 hits in those 73 1/3 innings. And that's a pop-up. Mike Bordick. 1 away. Well, there was that big play in the 7th inning, Joe, when it looked like the Mariners might have a chance to get back in the game. Ducey got the big pitch hit, but then he made a bad decision.
Well, the bad decision is that, you know, he was going for 2, but usually a ball hit down the line like that, you think you can make it. But an excellent play by Surhoff, and that really kind of curtailed the rally they had going. That brought it to 5-3. And if he would have stayed at first base, Joey Cora got a base hit, and it would have allowed Ken Griffey Jr. to bat last inning, and possibly it could have been the tying run, but all for naught, and then Baltimore came back with 4.
Edgar Martinez 0 for 3. Well, we've seen it in that Atlanta-Houston series. Biggio, Bell, Bagwell shut down by the Braves pitching. The 3 of those guys 1 for 25 in those first 2 games. And now the Orioles are doing it to the big 4 here of the Mariners. Griffey, Martinez, Rodriguez, and Buhner. Not to the same extent, but they really have been shut down. Only 5 for 27 for the 4 of them. Although yesterday, they did hit 3 home runs, all solos, but not the kind of real heavy hitting that you often see from those guys. I mean, Griffey himself had 147 RBIs. Buhner had 109, Edgar 108, and Alex Rodriguez threw in 84. It's a high, lazy fly to Brady Anderson. 2 down, and Edgar is 0 for 4. It's also a difference, you know, 2 years ago when they made that great comeback down 2-0 against the Yankees and won that series. They could not get Edgar Martinez out.
Right.
And what did he hit? He hit 570 or something in that series.
Couldn't get Griffey out either.
He had 5 home runs. And that's a ball. Just double checking. Griffey had a 571 division series average in 1995 against the Yankees, with 2 homers and 10 RBIs in those 5 games. Alex Rodriguez taking a ball. Griffey that year hit 391 with 5 homers and 7 RBIs in 5 games. And just for good measure, Jay Buhner, that in that series at 458. And we don't even remember that. Yeah, that's pretty good sometimes. Not too good in that series, but the Orioles have shut them down. Base hit. The first hit of the game for Alex Rodriguez. First time he's gotten the ball out of the infield.
Right fielder, Davey Jr.
Well, Davey Johnson, I mean, he's known all year long that this is a very good ball club. He and Pat Gillick were able to build the ball club the way Davey wanted it. I mean, he did not like the way that club was put together last year. It wasn't his kind of a club. Now he's got a lot of balance, a strong, balanced bullpen, depth on his bench, different ways of coming at you. A bullpen well capable of holding a lead, and that's what they did all year long. Jay Buhner, the hitter. He's 0 for 3. Ball 1. Earlier this year, Davey Johnson, with all of the injuries slowing down the Orioles somewhat, he said, well, you know, without Alomar and Eric Davis, we're beating teams by a run. When we had them both healthy, we were beating teams by 2 runs.
Yeah.
So Davey has that confidence, that cockiness that goes with knowing that you've got a great ball club.
And the fact that when Alomar was healthy and Davis was healthy, they were adding speed, you know, to an already good lineup.
Buhner has a base hit to left center field. Oriole bullpen going. 2 men on, 2 men out. And the left-handed batting, Paul Sorrento coming up. Sorrento, the left-handed hitter, and the left-hander, Orozco warming up in the bullpen. Amaral hit 284 with 1 home run. So not a power threat. The 3 for the Orioles. It's a big breaking ball, almost hitting Amaral.
Amaral has batted against Orozco on 3 occasions. He's 1 for 3.
The right-handed batting catcher, Dan Wilson, would be next. The Orioles have a right-hander up in their bullpen. The fastball. Look at that. Popped our gun there at 90 miles an hour on the outside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Knee high over the outside corner, too.
Jesse Orozco was on the mound for the final out of the 1986 World Series. Was recorded. And did Amaral swing? Yeah. Ken Kaiser made the ruling.
Yeah.
Now, what umpiring school do they teach that particular signal? He struck him out, and Orozco made short work of Amaral. 2 men left for the Mariners. Only 3 outs of life left to them in the game. 9-3 Orioles. Sun hiding behind a cloud, and that may be reflective of the feelings of Mariner fans now.
On balls in 75 innings.
Rich Amaral stays in at first base after pinch hitting for Sorrento. E.J. Surhoff, the hitter. Fastball for a strike. Here's that. Called a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike. Surhoff is 2 for 4. 2 singles and 2 strikeouts. Jeffrey Hammond's on deck.
Well, Heathcliff's asking the same thing. Heathcliff says, where were those 2 pitches? So I'm trying to keep the ball down, and I can't get a call.
I remember early in the game that some low pitches were being called strikes.
Well, you made a point. You mentioned that earlier.
Broken bat. Amaril's got it. Slocum covering. Out.
Well, nice play there by Amaral and also Slocum to get over there quickly enough to give him a target.
Right fielder number 11, Jeffrey Hammond.
See Amaral make the dive. Now he has to find Slocum, but Slocum gets there in plenty of time so he can lead him right to the bag.
1 gone, and here is Jeffrey Hammonds now. Batting for the first time of the game. He came in as a pinch runner in the 8th inning. Ball 1. Now the 3 for the Orioles. The Mariners had a 2-1 lead into the 5th inning. Then 2 men on, 2 men out. Jamie Moyer left the game with a sprained left elbow. Top fly, shallow right. Joey Cora has it. 2 down. Roberto Alomar, after nearly striking out against Spalgeric, the reliever, stayed alive, foul tipping a tough pitch, and then he hit a double to drive in 2 runs to put Baltimore ahead, and the Orioles have led ever since. In the 7th inning, Brady Anderson hit a 2-run homer against Ayala. Ayala left in there to pitch the 8th inning despite giving up 2 runs in his first inning of pitching, and he gave up 4 more in the 8th inning. And there is Randy Miles getting ready to start throwing in the Baltimore bullpen. Rafael Palmeiro 0 for 4 in this game. The Orioles have 13 hits. In fact, 9 runs and 13 hits again today, just as they had last night. There have been 9 walks issued in this series by Seattle pitching, and 8 of those walks became runs. Amazingly today, 4 walks by Seattle pitchers, and all 4 of those walks became runs.
Well, that should tell you something about free passes.
And of course, Rob Ducey made a decision that he wished he hadn't on the base paths. That is a fair ball for Palmeiro. Rafael Palmeiro gets his first hit of the game. Just kind of blooped one down the right field line there, just tucked it in fair.
Yeah, but that's much better than the alternative he's saying. He could have been 0 for 5, and he ends up with a base hit.
Palmeiro, who last night came in as a pinch hitter and hit a double, got his 2nd double of the series.
He hits this ball off the end of the bat, but he does a good enough job to keep the bat out front, and he doesn't hook it. And the ball stayed fair and then bounced into the corner.
And you saw a right field umpire, Tim McClelland, call down there. Now, Cal Ripken. Cal's had 2 more hits in this game, 2 doubles. And his double in the 8th inning was really a big one. It was only 5-3. 1 out, 1 on, and then he blooped a double into right field, and that started a 4-run rally. He blew the game open. Cal is 5 for 9 in the series. 2-0. Cal Ripken, 2-time MVP, and the Iron Man, of course. It goes to 3-0. Cal back in the postseason, all the way back in 1983. His first one hit 400 against the White Sox in the league championship series. And then last year in the division series against Cleveland, he hit 444. So he still knows how to rise to the occasion after all these years. Well, Joe, I mean, showed a lot of healthy respect here for Ripken. 3-0, and then again 3-1. Doesn't come in with that fastball.
No, you're right. It's a splitter. He threw him 3-1.
A lot of smiles in that Oriole dugout. It's down the right field line. Amaral runs out of room. So 3-2.
Another off-speed pitch.
The Orioles came in here, and many thought that they could be in big trouble in Seattle. The big crowd, the left-handed pitchers. The Orioles kind of slumped at the end with nothing really to, already having wrapped up a spot in the postseason. And another splitter, and Cal draws the walk. Now, here comes Harold Baines. 2 on, 2 out. But the Orioles kind of made a statement here last night, not only knocking out Randy Johnson, just pounding the Mariners. And it was the Mariners in their home ballpark who were dominated by Mike Mussina. Baines hits it hard, which Alex Rodriguez rather throws out Baines. 3 outs away from going home to Baltimore ahead 2-0 are the Orioles. We'll be back. Dan Wilson, the hitter, he has struck out 3 straight times. He takes ball 1. Now, the weekend kickoff show will be starting at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific on ESPN2. You'll be able to see it in its entirety by turning over to the Deuce, and then right after the ball game, we'll pick it up on ESPN. And later tonight, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on Fox, the Yankees and the Cleveland Indians. Cleveland will be going home, but they'd like to go home not 1-1 with the Yanks. And that young rookie, Jarrett Wright, I mean, he's only 21, faces Andy Pettit, the big ballpark in the Bronx, where his dad pitched many times, Clyde Wright. Cleveland, of course, having to go in there, having blown a 6-1 Game 1 lead at Yankee Stadium. Well, Dan Wilson, I mean, he has just not been able to make contact today.
That fastball is right by him. He just looks a little late, and whenever he tries to get his bat started with his body, they throw him breaking balls. He's been way out in front.
Well, Dan Wilson played in 146 games in the regular season. I mean, didn't mean he started all of them, but I mean, he was the regular catcher for the Mariners, and he was in there most of the time. He had over 500 at bats. And Randy Myers gets the strikeout, and Wilson has struck out 4 consecutive times. This series will continue on Saturday at Camden Yards in Baltimore, and the sellout crowd will be watching Jimmy Key, 16-10, facing Jeff Fassero, who had a very fine first year for the Mariners. That game will be on Fox at 4 o'clock Eastern time from Camden Yards. Jimmy Key had his problems at Camden Yards the last half of the season.
Well, he really struggled. He got off to a great start, but then he struggled, and a lot of people think it's because last year he only pitched 160 plus innings, and this year he's well over up to around 207. That's a lot of innings and you know, disparity. They think he's a little arm weary right now, and he's getting a few days, extra days here, so they feel like he may be okay.
Well,
talking to Mike Mussina.
Seemed to pay off for Greg Maddux and the Braves to get a few extra days off before his Game 1 start. There's a changeup from Myers. Randy Myers, he's now been on 2 ball clubs that were, as they say, wire to wire first place clubs. There have only been 6.
Cincinnati was one.
Yeah, 1990, and now the Orioles. 1997. Only the 6th team ever to do it. And look at that. What a breaking ball on the back door to catch Blowers for strike 3.
Well, he starts this off the plate outside. That's outside, and then all of a sudden it just bites and catches the outside corner for strike 3. Beautiful pitch.
2 down, Joey Cora. And what a contrast. The first time he came up, he singled. The next batter, Kelly, doubled. And the Mariners looked like they were going to put an early end to Scott Erickson. They scored 2 runs before most of the fans were even in their seats. And now Cora comes to bat in the 9th inning. And the Mariners' hopes for going deep into the postseason have diminished incredibly. 1 ball and 1 strike. And this Baltimore club that had all of these comments about that they lost their edge. Could they handle the Mariners? And now they've come in here, Joe, just as if we're mid-season. And they have demolished them 2 days in a row.
Well, I think the real positive is that they are a veteran team, and even though they coasted to the finish line, they were able to turn it back up a notch and regain their intensity, because it showed last night in the way that they handled Randy Johnson. And again, these are veteran hitters. They know how to get a hit pitcher in the hole, and when they get him in the hole, they take advantage of it.
And that wraps it up. Joey Cora down on strikes. Randy Myers strikes out the side in the 9th inning, as if just one final insult to the Mariners. And the Orioles come in here and win 2 consecutive games by scores of 9-3. And they lead the series 2-0, going home to Baltimore. Stay tuned now for the weekend kickoff show coming up next on ESPN. This is John Miller for Joe Morgan and Kevin Kennedy and our entire ESPN crew, saying so long to you from the Kingdome in Seattle. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.